We are a week from today from Elimination Chamber. WWE still have a lot of work to do of setting the table, but we got a little bit of it done. We got half the work done because the other half is on next week. And if you don't know all about next week, where have you been? WWE done all the work for you and told you what's happening next week. So we're going to talk about what happened this week, then maybe what happened last week or next week, whatever week it is. Up, down, left, right. This is a Smack Attack. Fuck it, let's just get into it. James McIver alongside my partner in crime, John Enright. This is a fucking weird weekend of SmackDown because they did obviously this week's show live, then right off the back of it recorded next week's show because they're only in Saudi Arabia by the time the broadcast, which is sensible.
Some will, some people will, some won't. You know,
some will, some won't. Weirdly, though, they decided to spoil next week's show. So there won't be a review next week of SmackDown. Instead, we're going to talk about Elimination Chamber next week. We're going to do a post show on that instead.
Yes. So we'll come at you one day later next week to talk about that programming note. But already
we'll talk about what happens next week later on as well.
Already, I was not happy with this show because, as Labreck says, no Graves. Cole felt like he got a smile back, but Graves was oof. I agree 100%.
Not the same.
You know, I know Pat has obligations because it's Super Bowl week, and the Super Bowl is tomorrow.
It suffered so much without him.
Yeah, I know. It was so awful. It was so bad. Like so Corey Graves made me just it was just like I didn't realize how much I enjoyed Pat McAfee until Corey Graves is on here with Michael Cole. And like Michael Cole even gave some shots at Corey Graves when he would say something about Pat McAfee, and he's like, yeah, well, at least McAfee was doing this or that. You know, he
jilted lover shit going on. Like.
I know. I was like, okay, well, hey, at least Michael Cole is sticking up for, Pat McAfee. And
he's
just to say, like, fuck you. He's a good dude. I like him. Like,
Graves having a go at McAfee because it's a soft target was just pure show, not cricket. Congratulations, Erin Ben Shlomo, formerly known as Nobody Worth Remembering. You are worth remembering, sir. First comment of the day. Respect. Always got to put respect to that for everyone there.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a weird SmackDown. A lot.
Yeah, it was. It was very funny. It was Ben and I talked about it last week. How this recap thing is just getting out of control. The amount of recaps and things that they're doing. Like I was watching with Jacob last night, my 16-year-old, and he goes, "It feels like an AI wrote this program." Like so like that's why I have my title with today is because it's like you get those weird like treatise from where you have an AI write a movie or a TV show or whatever, and this felt like that because there was just so many like. What the hell is going on?
Very buzzwordy as well. When they were doing the Roman Reigns and Goldberg interviews, there was a lot of sort of like buzzword shit going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
And I mean, the Goldberg interview was weird too. Like it was already like he had a concussion. It was. Has anyone been known to the fact that Goldberg and Michael Cole were friends as well before this? Because I didn't. I didn't either.
He just put it was like, I love you like a brother. Like, what the fuck?
You do what you gotta do.
Where did that come from?
I know, and like he made it like he was about to like kick him in the balls or something. Like, I love you like a brother. Just do what you gotta do, man. And and then he just seemed so lost. I mean, I know that's later down the road, but like, still, it's just there were so many things about tonight that were just so weird. I mean,
even the opener.
Yeah, which let's go ahead and get into it because I've got date night and I've got Super Bowl shopping I can get done. So
just gonna say it flat out before I describe what happened. Vince killed this segment. By not fucking being here. So DeVille comes out the ring, arm still in a hook. Talk about the attack on Ronda Rousey when she damaged her arm. People like Rousey and Naomi will respect her point. It does, and to prove her point, what she said was, it doesn't matter who you are, if you're Naomi or Ronda Rousey.
She Brock Lesnar.
Oh, Rousey just wrecked her. Yeah. Oh man, she didn't even fuck about. She just grabbed her. It was like, whoop, down you go, arm snap. There we go. So DeVille, rightfully or wrongfully, however you sit on this, not happy about it. So it doesn't matter who you are, if it's the Ronda Rousey, Naomi, You have to respect my authority.
Right.
So she's petitioned to have Ronda Rousey suspended indefinitely and to pay up a fine of $100,000. Sorry, working with British money there. That's I think it's like $2,000 or something like that in British money.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff. So she's trying to put her foot down. Then Adam Pearce comes out and she's like, I guess you don't get to read your emails while you're out on in the ring, but we got an email from the higher ups. In fact, it's from the higher up, Vince McMahon. Yeah. And honest to God, I was absolutely buckled when I heard this. It's like you've been abusing your power. And the one thing I don't like is authority figures abusing their power. Coming from the man who built a fucking era abusing his power. I was like, brilliant. But it was great, though. I liked that part. It was like, because it was just very smartly done. The
oxymoron of it,
Yeah. And so your request for Rousey being suspended and fined is denied. If you get involved in the Naomi match, your job will be in serious jeopardy.
Well, you can't. No, if you touch Naomi in any way.
Oh, if you touch Naomi in any way, your job will be in serious jeopardy. Which brings out Naomi and says, "Well, you can't hit me." No, what was it? It was like, "Oh, you've not been slapped in your ass by your boss before," or something like that, or kind of made to feel small. I was like, "Oh, you can't touch me, but I can touch you."
Yeah.
Oh, slap right across the pus.
I mean, I was hoping for, and I mean, I guess this is where I was hoping for Adam Pearce to do a, and your job, and if you overstep your authority, you're fine. I was wanting for an Adam Pearce kind of thing like that, but I guess Vince is going to do Vince. So
yeah, well, that's the thing. It was like as soon as he said this email's from Vince McMahon, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, Vince is right there. He's literally right there.
Is he though? Is he though? Like
you'd think so. I would have to check that, but like I thought he would have been there. I'm like, fuck, man, get Vince. That's my problem with it. Is like, why did Vince not come out?
Right.
Because I think this would have played off a lot better. And I actually think even though I laughed at the whole, I don't like authority figures abusing their power. I actually think that would have been a lot more funny if it came out of Vince's mouth and he said it like total like straight like,
face,
and just kind of deadpanned it, and you just get a great reaction out of that. But instead, he's not there. Adam Pearce is passing on second hand, and in a weird way, I felt like it just harmed the story going into Mania a little bit. I was like, man, you had a great chance to like elevate this a little bit, add some stakes into the matter, maybe give Naomi a little bit of a rub and a bit of a shine because she comes out off the back of this and slaps Naomi. You can add Vince there, just kind of go, nod his head or whatever and walk away.
It's not. I mean, I know Vince hasn't been on TV a lot, but like he's been on the last few months with Austin Theory on Raw, so it's not like he's shy on being on the camera. So why not be here to be the one to answer? Sonya, I've got your thing right here, and I've been reading it, and I just I don't like what you've been doing. And so it would have been better, like you said, it would have been better if he'd have done it. But I get the fact too that let's be honest, Vince has been hands off. They've almost made it where Vince is hands off to SmackDown. SmackDown is Sonya and Adam.
Pierce.
And so like whereas you don't see them as prominently on Raw like you do Vince McMahon and some of these other people. So it's almost like this is who's in charge. So I get you don't want to break that in the sense because you've made it that way. And so so this, I mean, it was an okay segment. It wasn't great. It wasn't something that I was just like, yay, let's start the show with this. Because again, it's, you watch this and then an hour and 2 hours later, the start of Rampage is Roppongi Vice versus the Young Bucks, which was a fucking banger, which Danhausen and, Orange Cassidy and all the other stuff in between.
Have you spoken about Danhausen yet on this?
No. Vet and I did not talk about it last week because that's, he started. I know a lot of people are shitting on Danhausen, but like, here's the thing.
I was watching a clip from the locker room and Big Ray totally discovered Danhausen. And he was like, I'm in. I'm fully in.
Yeah. Danhausen is great. Like, I got to see him live here once and it was great. I mean, just to you have to see him to experience it. It's unique, especially live, live. And so that's one of those things where like I know people don't get it. I know certain people shit on Danhausen. It's like, oh, he's 5'8", nothing, but like he's got a gimmick that's entertaining, and that's the whole point of the matter. Is like you want something different and unique. This guy is the epitome of that. Very nice, very evil. And coming about doing, I cursed John Moxley, and we are here to come in, and he does the curse, and then he does it this week to the Young Bucks, and here comes Roppongi Vice through the Tope Suicida, and I mean, it's.
I'm just waiting for the tequila spot to hit.
Which they did on the Jericho cruise. I don't know if you've seen something for that.
Just walk up.
But I mean. The guy obviously he's talented enough as a wrestler. He got signed by fucking Ring of Honor. I mean, you don't just go to Ring of Honor if you can't wrestle for shit. That's the whole purpose of Ring of Honor is you got to know how to wrestle. And so he does, but he lives the gimmick and he does the gimmick. And that's the whole purpose of it is he's got a very good, entertaining gimmick, but he can wrestle. And I think that's what makes like him and Orange Cassidy work is because they're different. And that's the problem is Vince McMahon will never let anybody be their own thing and do their own thing. And so that's the difference is you've got characters in AEW, whether you agree with the size of the people or not or whatever, I don't give a fuck about that. Sometimes sizes and everything, it's about the characters that you have and the story you sell in the ring. And so those are your purposes. Those are the things that make it matter. And so, that is my whole thing is like, there are more entertaining characters. You had Hook again, you have the mystique of Hook again coming out, doing the judo flips and things and looking really good doing all of it. Yeah. And, with the intrigue of he doesn't talk, his dad is the one who's propping him all up kind of thing. I mean, they're doing a great job of building Hook. They're doing a great job of slowly incorporating Danhausen. And I mean, they're doing a good job of balancing everything out that they have. Granted, we don't have Brian Cage. But if I'm honest, I would rather have a Danhausen than a Brian Cage.
Yeah. I think because you get a lot of really good wrestling anyway. Yeah. And really, I like Brian Cage. But I think you're right in the sense that you need a bit of a palate cleanser. Like you need a little bit of something. You need a little bit more of what Danhausen brings, a little bit more of the comedy and silliness, just to kind of, because if you say that you go through a serious match or a serious storyline, but you've still got like 3 matches on the card, you don't want all those matches to be like really like emotional, dramatic matches. You need something to sort of break it up a little bit, make it remind people that it's fun in a weird way, like just so you can have someone like Danhausen have some great comedy acts. And I watched some of his stuff on YouTube not long ago. I was like, this guy's bro. I actually watched I think it was Chris Van Vliet interview with him when he was out of character, and he talks about how he built it and how he came across it. Because when he first done it, it was really dark. It was like a really like proper dark character. I mean, then it just slowly metamorphosized into like a bit more of like comedic, silly, because he found a bit of a niche with it. And he was like, hang on. Or he just done something random one day, or it was like a booker asked him to just do something silly, and then it just landed. He was like, yeah. And then he started like, you know what? I'm going to try it the next few shows. Like, can I do this? Can I try this? Can I do it? And he just saw how well it worked, and it was like, boom, doors open. It was like he knows what he's got going on here. He's got something that no one else has,
and he's good at it. Like the thing is, you can tell a lot of it is improv too, because like I don't know if you see the 2 interactions he's done with Lance Archer, which Lance is not necessarily known for being a funny guy, but Lance is a funny guy, and like they show, like they did this one where Lance had the first time with the U.S. title, IWGP, U.S. title, and he goes, "Oh, this is a very nice title. It's very pretty." He's like, "Yeah, it's fucking cool." He's like, "No cursing," and he's like, what, I can say fuck? No cursing, like fuck. Yeah. And then like they're talking about the title, he's like, can I have it? No. He's like, and so like Danhausen's standing up, so then Lance stands up, so then Danhausen gets on the bench, and then Lance stands on the bench. It's like, he's like fuck, like just trying to get up at each other. So then they do it again when they're doing a Warrior Wrestling, and this time Lance doesn't have the title, but Dan Hudson, I hear you like peanut butter with like tuna, and so I found this very nice, pretty belt. Here is like the peanut butter title that the Savage Gentleman has, which was setting up their Pele Pro Wrestling match. And he's like, "Ooh, I like this." And so then Savage Gentleman Victor comes in and he grabs. He's like, "No," and like, so there was like a whole great interaction with that. So Oh,
I just realized who the Ass Boys are. Labrat. Thanks for filling me in, because I've not actually fully followed DEW.
Yeah, good.
And I was like,
good club.
Yeah, I was like, who the fuck are the Ass Boys? Who's he talking about? And I was like, first I thought he was talking about
Billy Gunn and his kids.
Yeah, because at first I thought he was talking about FTR for some weird reason. I couldn't quite put a finger on why, but that makes more sense.
Yeah, so like his whole thing with that, making the thing about the Ass Boys, and then I mean, but then you get guys, and then you had to debuting Jay White and Keith Lee. Keith Lee.
Oh, but Keith Lee is sorted. He's absolutely sorted after Wednesday night. Whatever he does now, it's all gravy. He's in a company that's going to look after him. He's going to enjoy himself, have good wrestling matches. I mean, fuck, man. He got made to look like an absolute god in that ring on Wednesday night.
The
way
opening,
he was throwing him about.
Just when he took Isaiah and just literally tossed him across the ring.
Like, Isaiah deserves like a pat on the back for the effort he put in for that, because man, he took bumps. He was like the way, as you say, that first spot where he just launched himself. Well, obviously, like Keith Lee's pushed him, but there's extra momentum to take him there, and he just goes. I've never seen a man go that high,
and that far
or high like that. Like, that is some athletic shit that went down there.
Yeah,
he
on both guys' parts.
Both guys' parts, absolutely. But for someone like Isaiah to just go for that and just put the effort in, like he knows he's losing.
This is to get into the ladder match. This is for this ladder match for the face of the Revolution or whatever, and. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. It was a glorified squash match, but like, which by the way, that I don't know if you've ever, that thing where, where Keith Lee grabs the guy, like jumps in the air and he grabs him and then power bombs him. That was actually done here in Texas first. At VIP Wrestling, Lou Gotti goes to do that and goes to do a tope suicida, and in the air grabs Lou, hikes him up and power bombs him on the ring.
Jesus Christ, by the way.
Lou is a big guy. Lou is a big guy, the guy that runs VIP. He's not small. And Keith Lee by the way, right now, just think about this. The AEW could have a Texas Boys faction of Lance Archer, Dustin Rhodes, Cody, Keith Lee. I mean, just some of the guys that are coming that are from Texas and have just a Texas Forever type faction, dude. That would be a fucking faction that would just be like, holy shit, you could just run the table on some people with some of that shit. You know? I mean, just anyway. But the point is, you've got all that. I mean, Canada Spaceman, I got to disagree with you. He didn't look weak at all, because the point is.
You've got to showcase what he can do. That's the whole point of Keith Lee. It's not so much like he's a big guy squashing people. He's a big guy that can do things that you'd expect cruiserweights to do, as well as do the big guy spots.
Right.
He's just he can do it all, and I think
But that's why I like Keith over Brian Cage, because like Brian Cage tries to do all the get your shit in stuff, but like he forces it. Keith Lee doesn't force it.
Yeah, like I want Cage to be a meat man. I want him to be a wrecker or just like a Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that's sort of guy that just trashes people with his moves. Like,
but he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. He does the get your shit in stuff. Whereas with Keith Lee, if you watch a match, it's more of he'll do the athletic stuff, but it makes sense. It's like it's just like, okay, fine, you want to do that? I can do that. I'll show you what I can do. And I mean, mind you, this is the man just got married that weekend before. That Saturday before, because a lot of guys from Texas went to the wedding, and then he, showed up Wednesday night for,
Did you see? There were some fans that managed to do quite a bit of sleuthing to work it out as well, because they were like, "It's Keith Lee." And it's like, how? And this is how they found it. Bit creepy, but when you think about it, they were spot on. Maya Yim posted a photo during the weekend of them on their honeymoon, and they were like, on the beach having drinks and that. So someone went through her social media, like it must have been like a year's worth or something, and they found a photo they found the same photo the year before, but also a photo of her with the same hair style and how it was in the same bikini, and it looks like it was in the same place. It's like, I think they've just used that photo from when they were away on holiday last year, and they said they were on a honeymoon to make it seem like he wasn't going to be there. And then they worked it. That's how they worked it out. And then obviously he showed up, which is cool. Also, one little thing I want to touch on. Did you watch Matt Hardy? You notice Matt Hardy left the arena?
Yeah.
A la Jeff Hardy when before he got sacked. It's like, that's genius. That is such a nice little nugget of he's coming, but you don't know yet. You might know, but you keep it coming. Have we talked about that, didn't we? Jeff Hardy got offered the Hall of Fame. No, that was last week, wasn't it? So I wasn't here for it. But Jeff Hardy getting offered the Hall of Fame spot this year, and he turned him down.
Yeah.
He just after he got I think he asked for his drug test results first, and then when he found out it was negative, he was like, "Well, no." Actually, I tell a lie. So they asked him to go in the Hall of Fame. He asked for his test results, which came back negative. So it turned out this whole. I feel a bit guilty now. We talked about his demons and all that stuff on the show. It turned out it had nothing to do with it. But then apparently, when they wanted him in the Hall of Fame, they wanted just Jeff. But Jeff wanted both him and Matt in at the same time, which makes all the sense.
Sure.
But WWE just can't put their pride aside, can they? Just get them in for one show, eh? Just turn to Tony Khan and say, look, I want Matt. We want them both in. They were a big part of our history. How much do you want to let us use Matt for WrestleMania? I mean, he's going to have a speech. He'll be recognized and celebrated. He's in the Hall of Fame. Like, that's not much to ask, is it? I'm sure like Impact have let like folk go back over and do that. I mean, to the point where even WWE were like, okay, well, we'll give you Christian Cage to come back so he can induct Sting into the Hall of Fame. Like, just let them have it.
Yeah.
There's no shame in it because there's a difference between like actively competing against one another and then just recognizing and celebrating a good career.
Right.
And then if you're really nice, you could be like, he's had maybe not so much now. AEW is still quite young, but you could be like, oh, he's had a good run at AEW. Like 10 years from now, you could have something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. If they wanted to put him in the Hall of Fame, arguably they could. They've got a case.
Which Ring of Honor did.
Ring of Honor did. CM Punk, I was going to say, but that's never going to happen. He'll just be like, get fucked. Yeah. Or the Shield. The Shield. There'll be a time when the Shield has to go to the Hall of Fame and they'll have to recognize Jon Moxley. So, like, just why not just do it? Just start that off early. Know that, like, you can set the tone and say, like, we can all come together and say, what a great career you had, eh? Well done. And then go from there. But WWE going to WWE. And
as they always do.
Yeah, as they always do. Much like SmackDown, WWE, you're going to WWE. Segue.
Yeah. Let's segue to the match. It was a match. And it was
I've got things I want to talk about in this one. The New Day versus Los Lotharios.
No, Lethal Lovers. They added now.
Yeah, because they've got the Lotharios kiss cam.
Yeah,
and I was getting excited. I was like, "Oh man, are they going to do the old Cali thing? They're just going to start randomly pointing at people?" No, they just went for a senorita in the front row and just decided to kiss her.
The plant, because you see the kids like,
I know
the kids going like, "What are you doing here?" Like kind of thing. And then they add. So you knew that they were going to win because they added the kiss cam. They called them the Lethal Lovers, Los Lotharios, and and hammering that home. And then New Day got the jobber entrance, and then you had
God, man, this was a fucking shit show for the New Day.
Then you had the interview before they go out, kind of thing. And it's just like, all right, fine, whatever. But you got to do something for tag teams because. You don't have any right now, so
set them up somehow, I suppose. But
I guess, but they're 1-1 now. So because they lost last week, and then New Day wins, loses this week. So I don't know. Like
this is killing me. This shit's killing me. Like The main thing I got an issue with, and we can talk about the finish in a second, actually. Well, in fact, we'll talk about the finish first. It was an all right match, nothing to write home about, but the finish was a bit shit because, like, it was sort of like Kofi tried to move, didn't quite go well, and then rather than really do a proper counter to get the win, he just lied on top of Kofi.
Yeah.
He just crawled over and just lied on top of him. 1, 2, 3. It's like, there's no leverage. There's no way he stuck that. He literally just lied down on top of Kofi.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be like, oh my God, Shockwin. Like, that looked trash. Like, something must have went wrong or something like that.
Yeah, it was bad.
But my issue with this, and you probably gathered what my issue is if you've read the title of this episode. I called it How the Mighty Have Fallen. Big E was WWE champion less than 2 months ago. And holy shit, has he fallen down the card? Like, I knew there was reports that came out where his run as a main eventer was done. And they finished it. They want to move on. They want to try other things. The move to bring Big E back to the New Day was supposed to be... that was the other thing I read, was that the reason that Big E got pushed on his own was because apparently if you're a main eventer, you should be on your own rather than with your team, even though everybody was like, no, keep them as the New Day.
Right.
Like, even folk inside were telling that. But this is unbelievable. Like, Russo talked about this with the women's division, how you build up someone so strong and they look really good. Like, he used the example of Liv Morgan and Nikki Cross and said, like, you build them up to be in championship level, winning the title or main eventing in that division. Like, Big E was the main event of Raw, WWE champion. He main evented the Survivor Series and against Roman Reigns, and had the match day one with the main event with Brock, even though Brock Lesnar won, he main evented that. And he has dropped off the cliff. They went, Brock Lesnar's won the title, and Big E has felt like so much of an afterthought, and it's so criminal. It is absolutely criminal. Like, you can't find anything for Big E. Like, his last year, he proved himself that, okay, he didn't maybe not had the greatest of WWE championship runs. You can maybe make a case for that, but he went out into the mainstream. He went to college games. He got out there. He was getting people up and running. He went to UFC events. He was like introducing fighters for the boxing, like the Wilder and Fury fights and the Terence Crawford shit. Like, he was making himself known and present. He was in the zeitgeist. People knew who he was. And he represented the company. That was with and without the belt. And then to see him come onto SmackDown as reuniting as the New Day, and then just, do anything with him. Like, you've got Drew McIntyre that's there. You can have a great feud with him. You put him back over to Raw. Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, maybe setting themselves. They're probably going to go to WrestleMania, but there's folk there for him to work with. Bobby Lashley, because of this whole Lesnar business, maybe it's a consequence of WWE just going, we don't know what we're doing with the titles. We're probably going to do title for title. But, there's things they could have done with them, or at least kind of direct them and make them look as good as possible. The United States title picture could have used a bit of a kick up the arse. AJ Styles winning it would probably help. But, things like that where it's like, make it fresh. He's got this bit of momentum being a champion. Let's get him some storylines. Let's get him back, because that's always a problem. It's like, once you get rid of a champion, good luck. Like, Drew McIntyre as well was a bad one. Lost the title to Bobby, and he was a million miles away from the title for the longest time after that.
He still is.
I
mean, he's got a match with Madcap Moss at Elimination Chamber, which we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, my heart. I realized something during that segment, and my heart broke in two. And I'll talk about it when we get there. But
I mean, I think the problem has always been that when it comes to things like this, it goes back to the fact that Vince doesn't know how to let people be their thing. He doesn't know, this goes back to what we talked about earlier with Danhausen and all this kind of stuff. He doesn't know how to let people just do their thing and to ride it, he and let it go. Let them be creative. Let them do their thing. Big E is got some of the big, he's not the biggest guy, but he's got the biggest charisma of anybody that walks out onto that stage that has been around in the last, I'd say 5 years or so. The guy can make it work with nobody's business. And you can't tell me that, he didn't have a good run. I liked his run. I thought it was a good run. He did a good job. You can't tell me otherwise. There's nothing that says, anything along those lines. Now, you have a guy like Bobby Lashley in the wings. I get that, but make Big E go after Bobby Lashley, make that a one-on-one thing. It never happened. That's something that I would have loved to see, Bobby Lashley and Big E going for it and just really not having these 4-ways and 5-ways and all that kind of bullshit because, we're worried about Brock and, soothing his ego before we get to Roman. And, it's just one of those things. I don't know how else to look at it because, let's be honest. I like Bobby Lashley as the champ. He looks great as a champ. He looks like a champion. He looks like what he was. But I liked Big E as a champion too. I liked the character that he brought and what he did for the ring and how they were really pimping him. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, never mind. We're going to go this route again. It's because, it's almost like they're saying, well, we're giving it this go of the non-traditional champ of Big E with the character and everything. And he was fine. I just don't think that, the problem is, at the end of the day, WWE is not going to let anybody become John Cena level status because of what that means. That they're in control. They're nobody's going to be the Rock, Stone Cold, or John Cena ever again because they're the ones who are in control. They're the ones who dictate. They're the ones who have the power, and so therefore it's going to be we'll let you shine for a little bit, but then. You're still my bitch at the end of the day. Yeah.
You know what the biggest irony of that is? The biggest irony of that is this whole anxiety and things like that over people being top guys started with Brock Lesnar when he left. And here we are, like almost 20 years later, and Brock Lesnar's the guy. Like he is the guy that they wanted. After all of that, Brock Lesnar is the guy that they wanted him to be. Almost 20 years ago, and they didn't want any. They couldn't face trying to do that with anyone else because of what he did. That's insanity. Like he came back. Surely you can feel like justified that you can make talent again. You're like, it was bizarre, but I would kind of sleep better at night if this Big E thing gets rectified. Like. A lot of people, I'm in the camp that's saying Lashley's losing the title at Elimination Chamber. It's a done deal. Big E versus, absolutely. Big E versus Bobby Lashley with a 1.5-month build could be banging for WrestleMania.
Let's take
amazing.
Let's take a moment right here. Let's just say that. You had Big E. Bobby Lashley, you could have set that up. February is Black History Month, right?
Yeah.
Why the fuck could you have not built it up to Elimination Chamber to have Big E and Bobby Lashley going for the title for Black History Month? You go. That's my thought process of like, hey, we're gonna celebrate Black History Month, but like we're gonna have 2 African American athletes going at it for the title. And let them go for it. That to me would make sense. But then again, this is the same company who let Seth Rollins narrate things for Black History Month.
Yeah, that was weird. That was totally weird that he done that.
Yeah, I know. That was what, like 2 years ago or something like that.
That proper I know black guys chat.
Yeah. I know. It's like this is the same company that does something like that. So I get it. Your company is not, necessarily aware of things going on, but so there's that aspect of it. But you had those opportunities, and then it's like, well, we let Big E lose it in a 5-way, so therefore he's not worthy of getting it. The guy hasn't even really gotten a proper chance for a rematch. to get that title back. It's just like, oh, it's gone.
Clean.
Yeah,
They made that as clean as possible when Lesnar took him out.
Yeah, Elizabeth. Yeah, I agree with you because that was last night too. At least they narrated his dad's package.
Did you see his tweet later on as well? Like later in the day, it was like, "Wow, that's an amazing tribute to my dad." It's like, you were in the tribute.
Yeah, you were the tribute.
You're the guy.
Yeah,
it's your dad. Fuck me. Yeah. But don't worry, because I tell you what, you're talking about Black History Month. You know what they're going to do? They're going to have Bobby Lashley start at the very beginning of the chamber and work his way through everyone and then lose to Lesnar because he looks strong at the end. Yeah, equality. Yeah. That's exactly how it's going to go. I can see it now. It's like Lesnar's going to be the last man out of the pod. Lashley's going to have a hard-fought match. Everyone's going to gang up on him. He'll be battered. He'll have a little bit about him, but inevitably, because he's been through the wars, Lesnar just smashes him anyway. It doesn't mean anything. That's the worst part, is he's going to lose. It means jack shit. Yeah. But that's kind of why I'm like, Bobby Lashley and Big E could be interesting as well, because they could both say the only person that could beat them was Brock Lesnar. And they both want another pop at him. And it's like, and you could have that whole sort of like the winner could be the next in line for the title, or set up, if you are going to unify the titles, set up one of them as Roman Reigns' next feud, because it's going to open up the doors for a Roman Reigns who's going to be let's face it, they're booking the entire show, both Raw and SmackDown now, around him. So you may as well make use of it and start pulling in everybody. And, Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, what a fucking match that would be. Big E, Roman Reigns. Woof. Like, there's so much the windows of opportunities where we can stretch Roman Reigns to next year's WrestleMania. Spoiler, he's going to next year's WrestleMania as champ. But, it opens up a lot of things. You're not going to have Lesnar here every week, but Reigns will be. So you might as well give him the win over Lesnar, and let's have a banger. Let's have Big E and Lashley just go for it. Let's just boosh, big meaty men slapping meat, and they could do some great stuff. Big E cuts incredible promos. MVP cuts the promos for Bobby Lashley quite well. Two big guys, legit guys, former WWE champions. Who else are going to face at WrestleMania? I would say this: if they face anyone else, they've got it wrong.
Yeah.
They got it badly wrong. If I see a New Day 6-man tag and Big E, or at the very least, Big E's not booked for a 6-man tag and the Lashley match, got it wrong.
Right. But will Woods be back in time for a WrestleMania? Yeah, that's the other half of this.
Oh, Xavier Woods. Oh, well, that's it, isn't it? His ankles.
Yeah.
Well, he was we thought it's 6 to 8 weeks when he got it. So we knew he was out for the Rumble.
Right.
So he could be back as early as the end of this month.
So, but that's the thing. That's the other thing that I think hurt Big E is the fact that they were like, well, we can't have Kofi on his own, right now. So we need because apparently Kofi can't have a singles run anymore. Apparently
former WWE champion Kofi Kingston,
who started the new SmackDown season getting crushed by Brock Lesnar in 5 seconds.
That just hurts. That one really hurt.
That one was bad. But the whole point of the matter of fact is that it's apparently Kofi is another victim of this. He can't go and be a singles player now. So then they're like, well, we're just going to move Big E over and we're going to let them New Day it up because that's what the people want, which is fine, I guess, but that hurts Big E in the long run because now it's like, how do you build him back up? Because
the way they made it themselves, the way they manufactured it was going back to the New Day was a step back.
Yeah,
even though the New Day should have went with them.
Yeah, it should have been there the whole time.
Yeah, so because of their own doing, this now feels like a step back. And then this loss last night was, I sat there and went, you're joking me.
Yeah.
Two former WWE champions lost like that to Los Lotharios. And no offense to Los Lotharios. I like them as a tag team. I think they do some great stuff. And I kind of wish they got a better deal than what they've got just now.
Yeah.
But you got to call a spade here. If you're really going to be honest about this, former WWE champions, record-setting tag team champions, you can have them lose clean, but let's not have what's his name? I forgot his name already.
Umberto or Angel?
It was Angel Gaza, yeah. Crawling over him like that. Let's not have that. Let's have like a finisher. Let's have some tactics in there. You know, if you that's my thing is like if you really want them to win, just let them win, but have do some let's get some work there. Let's get Humberto doing a move to kind of get Big E out of the picture for a little bit, and then being quick on the double team action and little things like that. I mean, it helps them a lot. The New Day could probably you can make a case that New Day they got distracted or was like some kind of cheaty tactics. You know, you could have done it a bit. You could have been nicer to them. Yeah. But that's the problem with Big E is they just done him dirty from the off. As soon as day one went off the air, he was gone. Like the thought, but we talked about the Royal Rumble. And I was like, man, Big E should be the like the guy in the middle doing some spots and getting stuff on, and seeing Bad Bunny outlast him. Shane McMahon outlasting him. Fuck, Shane McMahon's basically been sacked.
Yeah,
and he lasted longer than Big E. So it's a bit disgraceful, really, when we see it that way, that Big E's just not having a chance. I just feel we're wasting his potential.
Yeah.
We're wasting it. Like he's done all this extra curricular work that benefits everyone. Right. And then they can't make that work.
And he's in the prime of his career right now, let's be honest.
Absolutely. I think some of the matches he's had have been some of the best matches he's done for a while.
Yeah.
Vet's in the chat. Happening, Vet. How are we doing? This is where he winds up just leaving the show. He's not watching at all. He's jumped in for 2 seconds. We should push on. The first backstage interview of the night of the Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns first. Interesting, but okay. Cole spends quite a bit of time talking about Goldberg's accolades. Mostly WCW accolades. In fact, all WCW accolades, weren't they? It was like he had this undefeated streak of 160 odd matches. He beat Hulk Hogan in Atlanta to become the WCW champion. And Reigns just went, hello, Vet. Thanks for stopping by. Pleasure. In Roman Reigns, that would be good. If I was in WCW, they'd still be in business. It's like, wow, we're really holding on to that grudge 22 years later, aren't we? We're really holding on. Vince fucking hated Turner, didn't he? So he talks about that. Reigns said the weird thing, Reigns was like, no one cares about Lesnar.
Right.
And then Paul Heyman was like, I love my tribal chief. Who wants to hear reigning, defending? Like he said it in that weird way. It's like, oh man, he's going deep. He's going in deep. If this is supposed to have a potential swerve written all over it, Paul Heyman's going deep. He's going deep undercover for it.
Well, I mean, he already has with the whole when he was with Brock, and then the back and forth and the everything along those lines. So I mean, at this point, I'm so confused on what Paul Heyman is or who he is. Like, but I love it. Like that's the whole point. I love it. It's like because he gives you, he gives you that puppy dog looking at Roman Reigns, like just lover look, and then at the same time too, I love at one point he goes, "That's not a spoiler. That's that's not a prediction. It's a spoiler." When he had and by the way, Paul, and he goes, "That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler." Which by the way, Aaron Bitch Lumber, Paul Heyman, these comments are gonna wig. I'm sorry, making things seriously enough.
Come on,
but. I mean, he almost does because if you watch the segment, you can see all the makeup that they have on it. He has a lot of makeup on.
Orange. Yeah. Like I don't want to say Oompa Loompa because that could be a bit offensive, but he's a bit okay looking, isn't he? It looks like he's got that fucking Ron seal on the face. You guys get Ron seal? You get over there? Is that a UK thing?
We probably have something similar that
like a varnish. It's like a fence and shed varnish.
We got something similar to that. So. But like it's to me, I think that's the whole point of the story is that Paul Heyman is the driver of the story, really, and it's not about Roman, and he is the driver of the story. Well, yeah, and exactly, he's hurting himself to try to hold the show up. It's
really just, is.
I mean, and that's the whole point. It's you talk about Goldberg, you talk about this and that and the other, and and the Roman, I'm gonna Goldberg. I'm like, that line was just like
it's one of those that's like, man, they sat in the writer's room and it sounded better in their heads.
I know.
I get it. I was like, at one point, this would have been a great line. Probably this isn't the time. Goldberg's been Goldberged before.
Yeah.
In fact, Goldberg's no longer Goldberg when you think about it.
He really isn't.
But even references it. But yeah, just a thought, just as like the vet mentioned, like Paul holding the show up. It's weird how much of a difference people like Paul. There he is. He's literally just read my mind here. Paul McAfee. That's exactly what I was about to say.
We talked about that at the beginning.
No Paul Heyman, no Pat McAfee. Like those two guys, and SmackDown is hindered out the gate.
Yeah,
so badly.
We talked about at the beginning. No McAfee, and just the difference. Like the fact that they came back to Corey Graves by himself, and it fucking sucked because you had to transition to get Michael Cole back from backstage up to the front. Why those could have been filmed before, and then that way you don't have Michael Cole.
Why can't you just be like, we recorded this earlier tonight?
Yeah, we don't have to look at stupid Corey Graves by himself. I just don't. It was.
This should have been a McAfee bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they should have done this last week when McAfee was still there because he would have handled it. He has his own podcast. He does broadcasting. Mm-hmm. He could hold the fort while Michael Cole's. In fact, you could dare say you could start a match while Michael Cole's making his way back, and McAfee would be fine.
Yes,
he would hold his own.
Yes.
And yet probably some incredible listening for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Let me give you an example. Okay, so later on we're gonna have the Insane segment. And the fact that Pat McAfee wasn't there for that Insane segment made the segment horrible.
Brutal.
It made it awful. Corey Graves just fucked it over so bad. I mean, that's the whole problem with this show is that you're depending on people like Paul Heyman and Pat McAfee to help
carry it.
And McAfee is doing his job. I mean, the guy's probably almost got a hernia too carrying the show.
Sonic the Hedge-Rat. How dare you? I mean, that's incredible though. That would be the abs. I'd jizz. I'd jizz. That'd be incredible.
That would be great.
Like, man, for people who are listening to the podcast version, Sonic had mentioned that if Roman can get major heat, if he just spears and jackhammers Goldberg for the win, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, it's hot out there. Goldberg can't work more than 5 minutes anyway. No. Fuck it. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Roman's gonna make it to Mania anyway. Like, we all know the deal. Like, let's just be honest about ourselves here. Like, Goldberg himself talks about being old, so nothing wrong with it. I'm cool. You could probably add that bow to Roman Reigns' barrel. But a Highlander, no one like Highlander when they kill them and they take their soul and all that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But you could take out Goldberg and then take on the jackhammer.
Well, like that's what Kenny Omega, does. Like he's taken some of the finishers and he'll use some of the finishers from other people as part of his transition. So that would be, I think, great. But here's the thing. All right, so we've got that coming up. We had this interview segment, but did it really make me want to watch this match next week? No, I don't. I mean, the problem is I don't give a fuck about Goldberg. I like Goldberg what I see now when I watch him on things like Demolition Ranch on YouTube and he's shooting guns.
Yeah.
And just being whatever. He looked better in the fucking Dodge commercial they showed talking about, you can be chief donut operator and you can win your own Dodge Hellcat and shit like that. He looked better in that, and I more was concerned about that than I am this fucking match because him and Roman, like, it doesn't do anything to have, Goldberg win and go over, and it's just one of those things, I personally just am not I'm not at that point where I'm like, okay, Goldberg's cool and all, but like I don't want to see him in the ring anymore. I don't want to see any of this, So this does nothing for me. It's a placeholder. It's kind of like, when you're dating a girl and you know that you're not going to go anywhere, but you just don't want to be single, so she's just a placeholder, and then and so you can find something better, and that's the whole purpose. Is this what this feels like? And I hate it, because. Which is again what they did to Lance Archer on Wednesday, the fucking Texas death match with Hangman Adam Page. I mean, how do you black out a guy on fucking turn over steps and that not be a finish?
Yeah,
how do you dumb. You do the guy's fucking finishing move over the ropes onto the overturned diamond-plated, steps that and he lands on his back, and that is not a 10 count for him to get the fuck
out. Come on now.
Bullshit. But it's again, we can't give fucking Lance Archer the title. We got to fuck him over and make him look like,
That's the only thing I'm not so keen on AEW is they're not really willing to drag things out. You know what I mean? I like the idea that Adam Page is defending the title regularly, but I think I agree. Like Lance Archer could have been a Revolution match easily, and now whoever's coming in next got 2 weeks, if that, less than 2 weeks, and it's probably going to rematch. And it's like, you could have held on for 2 weeks there. You really could have. Mm-hmm. Considering what we've got on that AEW card, you could have held on for a bit and let them have it. Sometimes you got to think it's a bit WCW when you think about it. It's like they just like when Bischoff was running WCW, he just wanted to get the biggest matches as often as possible, as quickly as possible, and then it harmed their pay-per-views for it because they weren't focused on it. And there's a little bit of that with AEW, even though they've got the matches to back it up. Sometimes the selling part of it makes the selling a bit difficult. Right. Like, why am I going to pay for whatever it is in America, like $60 to watch a pay-per-view when I already know the match has happened? Where's the investment in that there? Here's my random cut of the week, by the way. Oh, wait, hang on. Well, it was good in the show in the Goldberg and Knife or Death.
Right, dude, I like the show Knife or Death. That was great. Where like these guys would create their own knives and then they would have to go through this gauntlet. And dude, Goldberg was great in it. Like that's the problem. Like he's done stuff outside of wrestling and he's good. And it's like, okay, cool. But then, and he's on. It's funny. He's on the Goldberg show as a PE. Like he comes on like the PE coach that one of the younger kid has. His older brother is the PE coach for high school, and so and Goldberg is the PE coach, and it's hilarious to watch. Like he does some good shit, but like I'm at the point now with him. I don't want to see him in wrestling anymore. And so,
this is it. Call it a day after this.
I hope this is his last match that he's retired. I really want it to be the case.
Or if you want to do him a favor, give him a WrestleMania match with someone. He doesn't have to be a big match, just a simple one. Yeah. Give him that. I'm sure that'd be fine. I just want to go on a random tangent because I saw this. Where is it? Where was I? Here it is. Right. Let's have a chat about this. Have you guys got Aldi's in America?
We have Aldi. It's just like a convenience store.
Oh my fucking! We've got.
Grocery store. Yeah. Aldi.
It's so good, by the way. It's so good. Like canned foods for nothing.
Yeah,
basically.
You get lots of stuff. It's a good way to get imported stuff for cheap here in America. Yeah. It started in Chicago. And it's spread out, and it's not convenience store. It's like a smaller grocery store. Of course, you bag your own shit, and
hang on. Let me just see if I can find that.
Yeah, cheap wine, cheap chocolates, cheap snacks. So.
Yeah, I just want to check something, just so we're on the same wavelength here. Because if it turns out there's two different companies with the same name, I'm going to be like, what in the actual text?
No.
Boom.
Yeah, Aldi.
Yeah, it's Aldi. I fucking love Aldi's. I'll say this, right? Hang on. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm going. I just want to make sure that we're on like the same wavelength with this here.
Okay.
If I put this up, here you go. That's the Aldi's logo. That is your Aldi's, right? That's the same. Oh my god!
I've got one in town.
Yes,
it's down the street from me. You know, I may go there for chips and dip for the Super Bowl tomorrow instead of driving to HEB. You know?
Oh my God, this is amazing. This is probably the best discovery I've had in this podcast ever. This is incredible. Like, does that mean you have a Lidl's there as well? LIDL?
No.
Or has that not made it there yet?
No.
The Germans haven't crossed over yet, but that's okay.
No. Now there are like German, like there's like independent German grocery stores that I've been to in the area, but you know, so like I have all the in my, you know, it's down the street from me here, so I'm trying
great.
So
I'm actually buzzing. I had to just point it out because when Media Empire made that comment about Aldi's, I was like, holy shit. I did not know this was a thing in America. And I'm happy. This has actually made me very happy. Like I've got two, literally like a 2-minute drive from me. I've got one up in Dulwich Way. I've got another one next to East End Park. So if I want to watch Dunfermline play and go for some fucking cheap ass tomahawk steaks, then I'm going. By the way, if you're British and you're listening to this, right? Tomahawk steaks from Aldi are the dog's bollocks. Unbelievable. Like, to be fair, they've got really good farmers in Scotland farming for them, but holy shit. Maybe to America confirmed. Nah, we've got Aldi's here, mate. You gotta work harder. If you want me to move over, come on. You gotta pull me in. You gotta find something.
I've already told you what the fuck we have in Texas. So if you can't get your ass over here for that, then fuck you.
One day I'm gonna do like an American journey. Maybe I'll do Route 66 just for fun.
Okay.
Or is that just too touristy? Is that just too touristy?
Well, no, I mean it's a tourist trap and a half, but still it's fun. I mean, why not? That's the whole point of it. You know, if you're gonna do it. Fuck it. You know, I'd be down for doing that. You know,
who knows? Maybe one day we get big time enough on the Smack Attack and to be like, hey, you want to go to WrestleMania? We've got tickets and flights for you. Like, fucking right, mate. Here we go. I did.
I mean, I was like, hey, is there any way I could pull media credentials for WrestleMania for this year since it's in Dallas? Like,
yeah. I would love us to get to the point where we could do that shit. I'd be like, although apparently Tottenham Hotspur. Oh no, that's the Super Bowl. I tell a lie. That's for the Super Bowl. Texas bigger than your country. Right, come on now.
Yeah.
You don't come at Scotland, please. We're hurting. Wales beat us in the rugby, but we can come for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might not be the biggest, but we're the most mental. Better not test that out. Yeah,
Texas is pretty fucking mental too. So and guns. Just remember.
Yeah, you get guns.
Lots of guns.
We just get PCB, MDMA. Just like you'll just see people walking the streets and like that.
Yeah.
Like weird folk. That'd be for radio.
And then in Texas you do that face and then just go.
Right. I'd probably just shoot you in the face.
Yeah, just be like, all right, thank you very much. So
I was gonna make a laugh about Paisley, a joke about Paisley with that there, but I was like, I better not. Get in trouble. I was like, it's a soft target. Wait, it's a near almost local target. Well, it's about like 70 miles between us. I'm safe.
Yeah.
But
although I will have to say, Media M5, sometimes watching Nick Aldis matches will make me poop. Oh, I had to do that.
You know what? He's a bit overhyped, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit overhyped.
Yeah.
Bit gutted at the same time. I know when they did World of Sport and they almost tried to bring him in, but they didn't really bring him in right away. It was really weird. They're like, let's get Grado, which was a good idea at the time.
Right.
But Nick Aldis was going to be the next guy. I was like, didn't quite make it in Gladiators over this way, but yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Did you know that he was in Gladiators?
For the British Gladiators?
Yeah. When they tried to revive it with water, I was like, it's not the same.
Yeah.
I don't want swimming pools, and I just want the Manchester MEN Arena, fucking Erika Johnson, and whoever else they want to bring in, and just go for it. You know what I mean? Like, just have fun. I want the Wolfman back. My dad did the removal for the referee of Gladiators, and that was a great story. Can I Spaceman? Yeah, we do. Scotland's great. They play hockey. No ice, no puck, no protection. And allowed to hit each other anywhere in the body with a stick. We do. We also have ice hockey. I live in Fife, where we have the Fife Flyers, who play ice hockey. So a very good team, I might add. Fife Flyers. So if you want to follow a Scottish ice hockey team, the Fife Flyers. That's the way you do it.
The Fife Flyers.
Fife Flyers. They're quality. But yeah. So that was my random tangent for the week. It just blew my mind when I saw Aldi's. I was like, no fucking way. No fucking way.
There's no S. It's Aldi. It's Aldi, not Aldi's.
We're Fifers. We always call it Aldi's for some reason. Even though it definitely is Aldi. But you're like Aldi's because we're ourselves that way. It's like when we go to Asda's, Tesco's, for no reason. We just add that S, make it plural. It's just like, why? Why do we do that? Yeah. Some things confuse me. But yeah, so I'm blowing my mind. But yeah, if you're in the UK, Aldi, tomahawk steaks all the way. 10 foods from Aldi is the absolute tits as well. Like you would spend like nothing, next to no money, and come out with a full cupboard. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Aldi's is a great way to go. Aldi's is a great way to go.
Yeah. Anyway, Sean, Smackdown. This tells you all about Smackdown. We're going to the dungeon, folks. Natalya versus Aaliyah, a dungeon rules match, which is basically a normal match, but with no rope breaks. Like fucking hell, right? No, see, when I hear dungeon rules match, right? I think Bret Hart. I think Owen Hart. I think Stu Hart. I'm thinking the dungeon itself. I'm thinking that tiny fucking room and just submissions. I don't give a fuck about wrestling moves, pinfalls, right? Nah, I want some people. I want limbs getting ripped. I want arm holds. I want toe holds and all this shit. I want
fish hooks. I want
like, grappling.
Yeah, I wanted like just Natalya to just fish hook her and just grab her and just just. Okay, maybe I'm getting a little bit into a porny area, but but like you want some of you want it to be more like no holds barred, like fuck this shit, let's just see what you got. And I mean,
yeah, I'm not wanting in a weird way. Dungeon rules matches only work for. I'm going to make it nicely. Technical wrestling prowess. You know what I mean? Like Owen Hart and Ken Shamrock, when they'd done it and they went to the dungeon and it was quite fun. Not for everyone, but like if you enjoy your submission grappling and wrestling, it's quite good. This was not it.
Yeah, and I mean the sad part. This is supposed to be a Natalya showcase match, and even in this, Natalya could not be showcased. And that was the bad part. I mean, you had Aaliyah, which has shown no submissions whatsoever, tried to do a half Boston Crab, which looked like shit. She couldn't even figure out how to do it. Like it's almost like she grabbed it and she was trying to go for a full Boston Crab but couldn't realize what to do. So
I thought it was like Natalya was trying to crawl away from it. That's
what she did. Like she tried, but it's like she couldn't quite figure out how to do it, so she got the half Boston Crab, and then fuck this, I'm not talking about it anymore. By the way, yes, Elizabeth is watching Bosch. I just finished.
What the fuck?
Because we talked about this last week. I just finished Jack Reacher. Fucking watch Jack Reacher.
Is it good? My mate was telling me about this as well.
1,500 times better than this shit right here. So it's the whole point of I'm done with this because I don't want to talk about it. It was shit. It was awful. I want to watch Reacher. It's
Xia Li came out, by the way.
Oh yeah, and Xia Li came out. Ooh, well, whoopie shit.
Just tie that up in a bowl quickly.
yeah. But yeah, I watched Reach. I finished it all in like 2 days. I mean, it is so good.
My mate, who's getting married next month. I won't be here this time next month because of it. He told me this was what he hoped the Tom Cruise Jack Reacher films were supposed to be.
They weren't going to be because it's fucking Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. It was like, if I was to picture who Reacher was and what was going to happen, this is the guy. Like Tom Cruise was out the window. I was like, oh yeah, that. Like, so I'm kind of interested to see it. Like it's on my list. We've started watching Peaky Blinders.
Okay.
From the beginning. Enjoying that.
I have. It's on my list of what people tell me you need to watch, and so that's on.
We watched Peaky Blinders. What else have we watched? I started watching that Murderville on Netflix, and I was absolutely. My girlfriend hated it, but I was buckled. The first episode was Conan O'Brien, and just Conan O'Brien trying to explain to a child that the magic show is not happening because the assistant was killed. And he's just like, she's dead. She's super dead. She's gone. It ain't happening. There's no magic here. She's gone. She's out. And the kid just looking at them to the point we had to like, okay, let's go. Let's move on. Yeah, but there's like, oh man, there's so much good telly on just now.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the live version of Cowboy Bebop, which was on Netflix. I don't see why they canceled it. I thought it was very well done. Reacher was great. Let's see. There was some other stuff. Oh, Peacemaker. I don't know if you've seen Peacemaker yet.
No, I've heard so much good stuff about it, though. I've heard so much good stuff about it.
Yeah. And so the opening segment alone is worth watching. Like the opening credit scenes are nothing else. And the music, it is really good. Bosch is great, by the way. Yes. So Bosch is also good. Reacher was good. What else? Oh, Book of Boba Fett. Finished that.
I'm mixed on the Book of Boba Fett because I kind of enjoyed it. I liked some of the last episodes of the set pieces, but at the same time, I was like, this was just the Mandalorian, but without Mando for half the episodes. Like it just, you know what I mean? I was hoping for much more from Boba Fett, and it was so convenient as well. I don't want to go into spoiler territories, but there's a very much it was me all along type moment. And it was like, you could have done an episode about that, but you just decided to blurt it out here. Cool.
Well, I mean, I think it's because, let's be honest, you needed that primer for Mando season 3 that's going to be upcoming, but you also needed to establish Tatooine and what happened afterwards. So I think there's a good mix of that, knowing how we were going to tie Mando in with the Book of Mandalorian, because people were going to ask, well, what about Grogu? Let's put it this way. If Mando just shows up, if they get him and they just get him to show up, people are going to be, what about Grogu? What about the Darksaber? So you get some of that, in that idea of we're explaining some of the things of that gap that people were going to ask for, and if you don't fill the gap, they're going to bitch and complain about. So there is that aspect of getting it in here, and so for me, I was like, okay, I see where they're going story wise with it and what the whole purpose is, because the whole idea is they're building this idea, and the first 3 episodes they had to show what happened to Boba after he came out. We know, we see some of the things, so we need those flashbacks, we need those back to tank healings and what he plans on doing, because here's the other thing, we have to establish what Tatooine's like, because where are we going after this? May 25th, which, by the way, why May 25th? Because that is 45 years when we first saw Star Wars and Obi-Wan Kenobi, not May 4th, which I'm glad that they did that.
That'd just be cheesy. That'd just be poor form.
Yeah, but to do that on the actual release date of when Star Wars originally released, and 45 years later, when we first see Obi-Wan Kenobi, where we see Ewan McGregor, and we see established a Tatooine where this is kind of that idea of that in between time.
Boba's in charge, yeah.
Well, but no, Boba's not in charge.
Oh no, it was because it's before the original trilogy.
So we're going to see that aspect of it, of what Tatooine was, and then what Tatooine's going to be. And so I think it's Tatooine plays a big role in the Star Wars universe, bigger than we thought.
I'm maybe going to make a slightly unpopular opinion, and it's probably because of the actor blood in my DNA. But if you want to give me a character piece of Obi-Wan Kenobi throughout this whole thing, I'm fucking there. I'm absolutely there. Like, I will watch the shit out of that, of just him just going through the absolute struggles and toils of what's just happened to him and just processing that. I'm up for that. I don't need a whole Star Wars set piecey thing. I don't need the Boba Fett's or Mandalorian. I could just follow him and just watch him go through the absolute gears of everything that's just happened. I'd watch that. That'd be so good.
With Ewan McGregor,
yeah.
I mean, fuck yeah.
Arguably an underrated actor at times.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
He does. He's good stuff. Anyway, all right. So we're done with Natalia. We're done with talking about good shit.
Well, by the way, just if you're looking for British TV to recommend, if you can get like a VPN and get BBC iPlayer, I fully recommend 4 Lives, which is a really good program. It's all about the grinder killer. I think it really hits better if you're familiar with Stephen Merchant, who is friends with Ricky Gervais.
Right. Yeah.
And that is the greatest performance I've ever seen Stephen Merchant put out. Unbelievable. And then The Responder, by who Martin Freeman plays the main character in that. And it is so heavy, like unbelievably heavy. It's about a responder police officer getting caught up in a whole drugs, like it's almost like getting caught with like really heavy, like drug lords and things like that, and the consequences of what he does. And it would just be, it's so good. It's so good because you just see his mental toil, how he is. Like you talk about his mental health a little bit because he's like, there's one point where at the very beginning he's like trying to deal with it, just these neighbors that shout at each other all the time. And he's like, just go inside, do this, go there, you go there, go there. If you fucking do this again, I'll fucking kill you. And it's like, whoa. It sets the tone so fast. And you see Martin Freeman of Hobbit fame, quite a comic actor in his own right as well, do something as heavy as this. Beautiful. So if you want to watch any quality TV, British thrillers, crime shows, find yourself a good VPN or a free VPN. Go on to BBC iPlayer and watch The Responder and 4 Lives. Recommend, because I was absolutely gripped on both of those. Unbelievable stuff. Unfortunately, yes, we do have to talk about more Smackdown then. Right, I almost gave Boogs man of the match until the end of the segment. And Zayn talks about trying to get John Knoxville out of his head. He's going to focus on the Intercontinental title.
They show a clip of Knoxville just tearing up all of his shit and Sami Zayn shit. And
did you guys talk about the premiere when Zayn got to the Jackass premiere?
Yeah. We talked about that, and then they did.
So good.
And again, it got me hot because they had a cattle prod again, and Vet and I talked about it. I worked on a dairy farm on my grandfather's dairy farm, and that's not what a cattle prod sounds like. And the fact that they did that stupid fucking sound again, that stupid cartoony bullshit again. And I'm just like, pissed me off for no reason. But this is where Pat McAfee at least could have salvaged,
helped it, saved it,
just a touch of this. But fucking Corey Graves killed this, and then it was just, I can't believe,
And you know what? This needed Pat McAfee from the second Boogs came out.
Yeah.
Why? Because Boogs did the Freddie Mercury thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, Wembley, this is happening, right? WrestleMania. Yeah. Boogs is going to go full Wembley 1980. I think it was 1981. He goes, Deo, Deo, Deo. I'm like, I'm having it. He's coming out to do that because you can see him just do full Freddie Mercury and he's embracing it, and I'm loving it. And I was like, Boogs, my man. And as soon as he did the Deo thing and all that, I was like, he's my man of the match. Perfect. Yeah. Top banana. Yeah. And then the stuff after kind of ruined it a little bit. But, so I was sitting going, if he does the legendary Freddie Mercury improv with the crowd at WrestleMania, then I'm in. I will gladly hope and have my heart broken with it not happening. Just expect it to happen at WrestleMania. But man, that was so good. What an inch. And could you imagine Pat McAfee in commentary as he does it?
Oh my gosh.
Holy shit. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd have the best commentary of the year.
Yeah, which I mean, because you had Corey Graves saying, well, Pat McAfee would be standing on a table and hurting himself right now. And Michael Cole goes, yeah, but at least he's entertaining. He said something like that, and then he says he's probably sitting on a table right now somewhere. And I'm like, Michael Cole gave Corey Graves a couple of shots tonight that I was like, when he would go to rip on McAfee, and then he would be like, he'd say something like, at least he's entertaining, and I was like, oh fuck, yes, let's go, Michael Cole.
Michael Cole's feeling himself now.
Yeah,
he's feeling himself
after having partnered with McAfee for a year. I mean, it's gonna rub off. But so again, the segment was dumb of I'm gonna grab the mic and shock him and and it was this was stupid. Again, I don't want to see this match anymore. I don't care that Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura are meeting next week for the Intercontinental title.
Well, you definitely don't now. Do you want to know what happens? Know. Let's fuck it. Let's talk about it, right? Yeah. In fact, no. Let's quickly just point to the fact that Zayn spent most of the segment slagging off Boogs. He had enough. He shouted at Zayn off mic, but people could hear him. And the second he grabs the mic, he gets like an electric shock that looked pretty wank. I'm sorry, Boogs. You couldn't be man of the match until you did that.
Yeah,
and then Nakamura, being a friend, goes checking him, gets Haluva kicked in the face. That same segment's over, right? Fast forward version of that. Why? Because Sami Zayn wins next week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people will be like, why are you spoiling that now? What's the point? Because they've already spoiled it.
Yeah.
They done that job for us. They went straight onto Twitter, not even 20 minutes after Smackdown went off the air, and went, oh my God, Sami Zayn's Intercontinental Champion. I was like, well, I don't have to. This is partly why we're doing the Elimination Chamber review next week instead, because who the fuck wants to watch SmackDown now when we already know what's happening? This isn't the Mick Foley effect. Mm-mm. This isn't Tony Schiavone on the other channel talking mad shit.
This is your own company.
You're doing it to yourself. You can't sell that.
That'll put butts in seats,
It definitely will. Well, they're already there, so I suppose they're all right. But, Jesus whip. So, yeah, that's the thing. Knoxville and Sami Zayn's happening at WrestleMania, isn't it?
It's got to be.
It's happening. If I, by the way, if I find out this is for the Intercontinental title, like things in this office will be thrown against the wall, against the TV, this fucking computer. Like, I love Johnny Knoxville. I've already told my tale, my opportunity. But still, come on, man. Come on. Come away with that. Come away.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, what were we about to say before I jumped into the fucking spun it out?
No, we finished talking about Zayn and all that shit, and we talked about how Sami had won because they already spoiled it. So
I cannot believe who spoiled it. Like, at least give Twitter a chance. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, in a weird way, I probably would have watched it if they didn't tell me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like fuck it. Like, if Dirt Sheets want to put it on their news sites, if random fans who are there want to tell you about it, then great. Oh, you're joking me. I wonder, can I find it? Fuck it, we'll watch it. I don't give a fuck, right? Like this is behind a paywall when you don't watch it anyway, so screw it. Right, let's see if I can find this. In fact, I tell you what, we'll crack on, and if I do find it, then we'll do it towards the end. Because Madcap Moss and Drew McIntyre had a moment. Remember that? Remember that? Madcap Moss having a medical with a black eye, like, man, I can't see, I'm struggling. I think you gotta cancel that match there, Doco. And then the ref does something you never see from an eye test, where it's like, close your eyes. It's like, that's very counterproductive if you're doing an eye test. Close your eyes, open your right eye. What do you see? A sword.
Yeah.
Whose sword? Drew McIntyre. Like, I think you're okay, aren't you? You're going to tell the doctor you're all right, and then we're going to have this match, aren't we? I mean, legally that's not right, but okay. And then he was like, okay, by the way, this match is now false count anywhere.
Yeah.
And Madcap Moss is just sitting there going, yeah, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, man. It's like, that is brutal. It wasn't a great segment. But it's okay. Things turn around quite quickly. To be fair, actually, I skipped a little bit because that was just when I was saying, what about the start of the Madcap?
The Cesaro Corbin match?
Yeah, that was a thing. Cesaro as well is gone, isn't he?
Fuck.
Like,
yeah.
By the way, can I ask the question here? Right, I'm not going daft when I heard the announcer being and still undefeated, Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin that's been beaten a shitload of times in his career.
Yeah.
How is he undefeated again? Excuse me, sir.
Did they reset? Did they see reset?
Yeah, like I
AEW does. Like every year they reset the every year they reset the whatchamacallit,
Yeah.
the win-loss records, for the year. So they like every year you can start off undefeated or whatever, and then I don't know. I heard that too, and I'm going, I don't know. Fuck it. Who cares? And again, this is one of those things where it's like, one, how the fuck do you treat Cesaro this way? Two, how the fuck is Baron Corbin this like getting a win is Happy Corbin. Sorry. That's right. He's Happy Corbin now. So because we changed his name, he has no records before the end. So nothing happens. So he's undefeated as Happy Corbin, And so but yeah, like how the fuck is he this over that he's getting wins over Cesaro like this? Like, I don't give a fuck about Happy Corbin. Like
totally.
I would rather see him not on my screen. Like
totally.
1000%. He is one of those guys that has like go away heat with me that I would be okay if I never saw him again on my screen. So
okay. Breaking news. I found it. Well, I say I found it.
Yeah.
Oh, she sent it to the account. Hang on. I wonder if it's the same one. Let me just see. Because if it is, I'm just going to put the same one. Let me just have a.
I got you, Elizabeth. I got you, girl. I'm not going to let James try to take credit for something you did. I got you.
Accept. Why did that come as a message request? Also, why is the message gone? Yeah, it's the same video. It's the same video. So I've got it. That's all right. Okay. You caught me at the right time. So here it is, lady. Right. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell YouTube. Don't tell the world. Just don't tell anyone, right? But you're about to see firsthand what's just happened on Smackdown. People for radio. You're not going to see.
You're about
in
to
the
see
future. Yeah. Can you see that, everyone? Can you see that? Right. Here we go. This isn't a long video by any stretch, but Rousey throws something at Charlotte. I think it's the contract, and it just kicks off. And then kick to Naomi.
Wait, why are they both in the fucking ring?
Because it's the contract signing for Elimination Chamber, isn't it?
But like Naomi's in there too. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
yeah, because it's a tag match.
Oh, I thought they were doing a fucking title match.
No, that's WrestleMania. WrestleMania. That's Rousey and Charlotte's WrestleMania.
Which, by the way, the vet has already informed me that the real money should have been Rousey and Becky. And
but
why that's not happening is
their thinking is if they can get it to next year, it'll be fine. I think that's they're banking on Becky being all right up to next year. It's a big gamble, but yeah.
No, I'd rather see that.
But then again, I'm the believer. You know what? We need to make Bianca Belair out of this.
Yeah. So
I'm sitting there going, you know what? Let's just make her now. Then let's just push Becky towards Ronda Rousey over the year. Let's just because if we basically what's happening here is if Becky beats Rousey clean or if Rousey beats Becky clean, we've got someone we're not beating for a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
So we might as well make someone now so that next year we've got them there rather than getting Becky the win and Bianca's fucked. If that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like Charlotte will be fine, Sasha will be fine, Bayley will probably be fine when she comes back. But people like Bianca Belairs, your Liv Morgans, and that, they need this. They need this WrestleMania. Because once Rousey and Becky happens, the game's over. The game is over. There's no one else. Mm-hmm. There will be no one to supersede them for a long time. However, my case, Bianca Belair beats Becky Lynch at WrestleMania this year. Becky Lynch beats Ronda Rousey at next year's WrestleMania. And then here we go. Game on. Who's the biggest? Who's the baddest? Who's the EST? Who's the man? Or whatever they're calling her now. This is it. We've got the next one in line. We've got the next in line for the throne that the top person has in the women's division. They need to kind of set them all up. They need to get that line going because they're not Becky, Charlotte, Banks, and Bayley's never going to be there forever. Bianca Belair's your best shot as the top woman of WWE. by a long shot, by a long mile. There's no one else there. Like you could put, if you were to set them on like a ranking system, Bianca Belair outweighs the rest. You can maybe make a case for Rhea Ripley down the line.
Yeah,
maybe Liv Morgan if they really if they
but
really
that's
want
where
to
I'm thinking like
it,
That's where I'm like, it would be okay to have Becky and Ronda because you have those people like them over there. You've got you've got Rhea Ripley, you've got some of these other people that are there. I don't need to see Liv Morgan have a title. Liv Morgan doesn't need a title because first of all, she's not that great, and I don't see why people are keeping to push her to give her a title. She doesn't need it. It's the whole point is I want the money. Give me the money. The money match is and Vet convinced me of this is it's Becky and Ronda.
It 1000% is. It 1000% is. What I'm saying is not now.
No,
I'm saying
now.
next year.
That's the whole point. No, I don't think next year because Ronda's not going to last till next year. I don't see her having that staying power. I see her as a.
Oh, she's gone. She beats Charlotte. She fucks off. You only see her like a few times a month, like a few times a year between now and Mania next year. Like I can put my heart on that and say she's getting the Lesnar push after this. It's like
but
see you later.
That's where I'm like. That's where I would rather see that on Raw. I'd rather see her over there with those people and doing that, and then you give Raw a chance to really build that half the roster. With the Liv Morgans, with the Rhea Ripleys, and all those kind of stuff.
All right, Roy. Only true diehard fans will get that reference.
I got that. Yeah. So, but I guess that's to me, the whole.
In an ideal world, I'd be 100% behind you. I'd be like, "Yep, fucking right. Let's do this." Rousey versus Becky. It's the only one that makes sense. It's the feud that was made the whole time, but the cards are there already dealt. That Bianca Belair's got to walk away from WrestleMania as a champion, and the one that she needs to get a bit of revenge on, unfortunately, is Becky Lynch. We need to tie that up in a bow. We can't just leave Bianca. That's what I mean. It's like we're setting up next year. We're setting up the years after next year. Because if you do Becky Lynch versus Rousey now, you can't beat them. You got to have a Roman Reigns 2.0 for a while. And I can see the vet saying as if whoever wins that, whoever beats the winner of that, should be a made woman.
Right. Which
I agree.
That's where you have your Rhea Ripley, your Bianca Belair. I mean, those are kids who are newer on the roster who could be made by defeating Ronda Rousey like that. That's what I'm saying is you're giving that opportunity because we know Ronda's going to walk for a little bit and she'll be gone. You're giving them the opportunity to build that up and to do that thing to where when they do face Ronda and they beat her, you've just made a superstar, But I've
just had a thought that came at my head. Bearing in mind I talked about Highlander earlier and Roman Reigns get the jackhammers. Say Ronda wins. Who beats her?
See, here's the thing. This is where I go with this.
Who if you look down, who's the one? Who's the one in line? And I would say Bianca Belair.
Because here's the thing. If you watch the Rumble, there was a couple of times where they showed respect to each other because Bianca kicked Ronda was on the edge and you would have thought Shayna Baszler would have helped out, but Bianca came in and kicked whoever out of the way to knock Ronda out. And so it's like there was a respect moment between the two to where if they're going to have a fight, they're going to have a fight and it's going to be not any of this kind of bullshit. So I could at least say that, and then it's believable that Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair are going to be one of the two who could take that title off of Ronda, and that's the whole point. And the Rumble kind of set that stage a little bit when we saw that, especially that interaction. Because I noticed that that's the one that stuck out to me in that moment was you had Shayna Baszler in the ring. Her and Ronda were working together. Shayna was there, but it was, I think, Charlotte going to go kick Ronda off the edge when they're both on the outside. And then Bianca Belair comes in and kind of takes the hit and kicks her out. And then, Charlotte hangs on to keep Ronda from getting eliminated. And so there was that moment right there. And then, Ronda kind of nods at Bianca Belair, kind of like, all right, respect, kid, thanks, kind of thing. So that's where I'm saying you have more superstars on that Raw side that could really develop, that could be better by beating Ronda than going the other way around with the more established kind of SmackDown roster with Naomi, with Sasha, with people who've been title champions and along those lines. So,
but then there's the other case in point, right? Rousey beats Charlotte. Bianca Belair beats Becky Lynch. Becky and Ronda can go away for a while. Like, as I made the case of saying Ronda Rousey beating Charlotte, it could be a Brock Lesnar deal. Rousey doesn't have to appear all the time. Maybe appears at SummerSlam, maybe Survivor Series. Then we see it at the Rumble and WrestleMania. Becky Lynch could go away. Bianca Belair holding the title for that however long means you can set up everyone else. Because if Becky's champ, so say Becky walked out of WrestleMania as champion, or was still champion. What am I saying? Whoever won between Rousey and Becky now, if they had at WrestleMania, you could argue there's no one beneath them that would really make sense to beat them right away. Or, as we say, Bianca Belair, which is right. We're probably both agreeing on that one. The problem would be when. Because anytime this same year is too soon. The only time it makes any sense right now for Becky to lose the title is now at WrestleMania, because you've got a year to heat her back up again.
Right.
Which you'll have to do if you wanted to face Ronda Rousey. Whereas if you blow it off now, motherfucker. Right, okay. Give me a minute. But what I'm saying is, if you do it now...
I got it.
Are you saying it to him now? Yeah. God damn it, here we go. Impromptu vet coming. But if you do it now, you can't have whoever won lose for ages. Right. And you could be right in saying Bianca could be the one that wins it next fucking year. But then the next question will be, and it's a boy care question, and this is why I'm having to make the case for it, because for fuck's sake, we have to. Charlotte Flair. What she did. Because there's nobody. Basically, what I'm saying is, the way it does is it gets Charlotte out the way. She's gone. She's not a factor anymore. She's not part of the equation. She's not getting out of it. Problem solved with that, right? So we've solved one half of that issue. The next part, make it Becky and Ronda Rousey. We want that. We're tasting for it. We have the flavor for it. We are fucking ready to go. And how blue balls are we going to be this time next year if they get it right? If they get it right, that's main event worthy next year. That really is main event worthy next year, even though it's probably going to be Roman Reigns and The Rock. But let's not talk about that right now. If they had to make a main event next year, the main event, there it is. There it is. And I keep thinking the long game. I'm looking at the Bianca Belairs, Liv Morgan's. If you want to go down a little bit to Bayley and she comes back, you maybe give her a little bit of something. They're trying to do something more with Naomi. Like, we're setting up people with the other belt. Because if Rousey wins, Becky's going for Rousey anyway, or Rousey's coming for Becky. They don't give a fuck. It's happening either way you do it. But there's another belt for everyone else. And that's the time where when we set up Bianca Belair, and when the time comes to beat them, it has to, I don't know, maybe I'm going in a circle here. Maybe I'm just putting myself, but do you see what I mean? It's like, here we go, right?
Here we go.
Oh shit, I took him out again. Sorry. Hello, Rick. How we doing?
Doing great.
Amused.
doing great, other than your outrageous foolishness. James.
Here we go. Let's go.
Come on, we can wait a year. We can hold on.
All right, look. Everything that you say might be right, but that is not what WWE does anymore. When did we all of a sudden, this ain't the Pat Patterson, Vince McMahon, book a year out type of company anymore. This is the instant gratification, microwave, short attention span. Let's do everything. Let's rush everything. Let's just get the match in the ring while we still can type of company. So why the hell would they waste any time doing anything other than just putting the match that's going to put the most people in that AT&T stadium that they probably desperately need to sell out 2 nights? All that other stuff doesn't matter. You can deal with that, as the situations come. Once you've gotten the Becky and Ronda match in the ring, it doesn't even matter who wins. However they want to settle that, then they can worry about next year. But they need to worry about what's best for them right now. And I don't think anybody really wants to see Charlotte versus Ronda in their heart if they think about it.
God no.
Because we've seen it. Like I said last week, like that was my whole point. Like that's a great match. That's a great match that we already saw. So I don't want to see that. I want to see the money match. And then after the money match, you want to talk about long-term building and stuff. Then you start putting those pieces together with the Rhea Ripleys and stuff like that. And then by next year, then you're going to have your money match for next year. If Ronda's still around, and then you can get a nice Rhea and Ronda or something like that. Something crazy, right? That's good. The Bianca Belair thing, look, I'm sorry. I think one of the reasons that Becky Lynch happened at SummerSlam or whenever, that was SummerSlam, right?
Yeah, it was SummerSlam.
Yeah, one of the reasons that happened is because Bianca wasn't doing what they wanted her to do, business-wise. So they were like, how about Becky Lynch? Sorry, Bianca, nice try. Not that it was her fault, not that it was anything that Bianca did wrong, but because of their short-sightedness, because of their bad booking, because of their just general failures as a company, Bianca Belair did not take off to the degree that people inside wanted her to, and that's partially because she was just immediately thrust down our throats with no and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind Bianca Belair being thrust down my throat, but that's not the point. The point is,
well, then part of that was down to their booking as well, like the mixture of putting her down our throats, but then you had like Carmella feuds, like they weren't really
said
matching that. Yeah,
I said it was the booking. I said I'm not saying that the WWE has done anyone any favors. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, in continuing with that line of short-sighted thinking, let's just get the obvious Becky versus Ronda thing out of the way, because I don't have any faith they'll be able to hold our interest for a year. But if they really do, because it's not too late to back out, but if they really do go with Charlotte and Ronda at this WrestleMania, like it's planned, and they just follow through with that, and that's just the match, I don't have the faith that they'll be able to hold our interest with Ronda, Charlotte, Becky, or any other woman for an entire year to try to even get to a next WrestleMania. They might have to worry about the company shuttering before next WrestleMania at this rate.
The only way that really works is if they go away. That's what I was saying there as well. It's like Rousey wins, she's likely going to get like the Lesnar treatment and go away and only appear at like big events. Becky Lynch disappears. You've got a storyline reason why she really maybe involved for a while, and then you maybe have them cross paths. But then at that rate, if we say it that way, okay, just to kind of join you on that, is you'd only have like a few months to build it. You know what I mean? Like they'd maybe do a spot at SummerSlam and they bump into each other, maybe something at the Rumble, but you don't. It's the time to really manifest it would kind of not be. I suppose we already want the match anyway, but they'd be banking on that next year. That would still have that flavor for it, and they'd only have a small amount of time to make it happen.
What are we, like a couple weeks out from the Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
And how many weeks out from WrestleMania?
What are we on? Second week of April, isn't it? So yeah.
60,
so we're probably
60-some days.
Yeah. So that's not enough time to really whet our appetite any better than they could have done for an entire year. I'm sure they could. I'm sure they have more to work with in just a matter of weeks than trying to stretch something out for months. Yeah. Like they're not gonna. I would almost bet the farm that they are not going to do Ronda and Becky at WrestleMania under any circumstances. I think it's going to end up at SummerSlam.
No.
Yeah, I think they're just going to. I just think they're gonna do it at some other event. You know what I mean? Like just maybe even a random event. Maybe they'll do it at Money in the Bank. just because.
Right. You're crossing a line there, but I know what you mean, though. But Jesus, no, they can't do that.
Why would you have any faith in them otherwise? Like, what have they shown you? What has the WWE shown you that you have any faith that they'll be able to do any kind of logical booking and you're talking about like you're saying like well, if Ronda and Becky could go away. That doesn't make sense either. Why would you want Becky to go away? She's a moneymaker.
No, I wouldn't say that it makes sense. But I'll say storyline wise, like they wanted, but the idea is to kind of get our mind's eye right away because of that point you're making. It's like a year's a long time to build a match.
Yeah, and think about how what you're saying. Like you're saying that the only way that they're capable of doing this is just like throw somebody in the closet and lock the door for several months. Like. That's not how that I know they can't do any better than that.
But that's what I'm saying is like they're playing with. If I'm looking at the cards that we've been dealt right now, we've got Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch and Belair is the match that seems to be getting pointed towards there. So with the cards that I've got in my hand, and I'm getting told right, these two matches are happening. Right, how am I making that work? How am I making that get to WrestleMania next year? It's nails. It's not easy, and either one of them or both of them have to be out of the mind's eye for a while. Otherwise, it's a slog. Like John Cena and The Rock is like they did that once in a lifetime thing when they announced it at WrestleMania the year before. That like John Cena struggled. It was like, hey, they've tried their damnedest, and fair enough. When we got to there, we're interested, but we didn't need a year. We could have got that like at the Rumble and the build started there, but they still had to do the whole, we'll come together next year. Oh, see next year.
Yeah, and that was also like 10 years ago when they tried a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they don't try as hard as that anymore. And back then we were all thinking, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
so imagine like, we didn't know how bad it could get.
Imagine one still there. Like, I'm coming for Rousey at next year's WrestleMania. They can't. They'd have to get out the way.
You got to pull the trigger on it now. And as far as the Bianca and Becky and like all the stuff that they've set up to now, who cares? They throw stuff in the trash that they've tried to set up all the time. So they wouldn't be above doing that. But even if you do, here's what you do. Okay, so how about this? Just hypothetical off the top of my head. Ronda Rousey beats Becky at WrestleMania. Now Becky's left with empty-handed, basically. Now Bianca comes in, and she's like, not to kick you when you're down, but I never got my rematch or whatever. And then she goes, she is going to go after Becky, and it beats Becky. Now Becky's lost a couple of big ones. Now, as a heel, Becky can get so much heat by complaining and just doing all this other stuff to build everybody up and get into angles with other people along the way. Meanwhile, now that Bianca's beat Becky, she's like, well, now I want some of that title. Now Ronda has a match. See what I'm saying? Like you can easily logically do this one step at a time. That's the best that you can hope that the WWE can see it, is one step at a time. You can't expect them to see, 6, 7, 8, 9 months ahead. They're just not doing that. And even if they did try to do that, some other shit could happen. So that's for those and many other reasons, that's why it has to happen now. And they're fools if they don't do it. They're absolute fools. And I think James, I think you have got to stop making excuses for them why they can do it or how it can make sense. And when they butcher something and do something wrong, I know you have no problem calling them out. But like don't even try to justify it. Just agree that they're insane if they try to go with Charlotte and Ronda at this WrestleMania.
I'm fully on board. Like they fucked it. That should have been the game out of the gate. Like they got there, but that's kind of why I'm trying to have this way of thinking. It's like, well, we're stuck with it now. So
it's not too late for a bait and switch, and this would be the happiest bait and switch ever pulled.
They won't do it though. They just. That's the other thing is like they're insane, but they're stubborn. They really are stubborn, and if they have something they're committing to, they just won't let it go. Like we're looking at Charlotte, who could have lost the title a while ago, right now, and even despite the stories that came out about her, despite these things, they hold on. They just keep it going. Like she just beats everyone. It's like that's the other thing is like the way they booked Charlotte. It's like. they've done this to themselves as well. There's no one left. There's nobody. Like,
You're right.
Like, to the point where it's like, well, we have to give her Ronda. And that's and it's like, you're right. It's insane. This should not be the case. It should be Becky versus Ronda. And I fully agree. I'm at no point have I said I disagree with that. It's just where we're at now. It's like, I can't see them changing their mind on it. Or even though part of me, there's a little bit of me where I'm like, you know what? We watched this Elimination Chamber thing, and then, as you say, bait and switch. Rousey just comes, you know what? I beat Charlotte at Elimination Chamber. I'm coming for Becky instead. You know, that would be...
And that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. And that's exactly what they're going to do. And that's how I feel this is the whole setup. Is I want to come whip your ass for the fun of it, but for Becky, I'm doing it for the money. You know, like Charlotte, you just need to have your ass whipped because, you know, you're an asshole. And Becky, you need to have your ass whipped because that's where the money is. And that's that's the whole purpose. They're doing a tag match now with this thing with Naomi and Sonya Deville, which did they? I couldn't see in that video. Did Sonya have two armbands? Like, did she come out with? Because you know she had a sling this week because of Ronda. You know, so Ronda, you know, at the end of the night tonight, shocker, she's in the ring. Ronda comes down after they were beating up on Natalya, and she's like, "No, my arm." So, oh, that arm. Okay, so she grabs the other arm and proceeds to crank on that. And so, like, I wanted to see if she comes out like with that. She's gonna,
she's gonna come out looking like that one guy from Office Space, like after he gets to the.
Exactly. Do something like that, like or like, you know, double sling or whatever. Just, I mean, that would get heat and just kind of be funny at the same time.
In a tag match too.
Yeah, I know.
Oh
right?
God, yeah.
You know?
Oh man.
But you know, that's the whole point. Is like, you know, this is so that they can transition to Becky because they know where that's where the money is. This was just something they want to do. So,
just gonna throw this thought just popped in my head, and just to be extra wild, let's throw it out there. Know how Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar seems to be touted as the sort of title for title main event WrestleMania. What if Rousey and Becky's that? You know, like Rousey just goes, you know what? I'm not waiting until WrestleMania. I want to fight you. What's the next event? Is it Fastlane? Are they doing Fastlane this year?
Yeah, probably.
And he just
no,
goes,
I think it's the Chamber, right? Isn't it?
Well,
just the Chamber replace Fastlane?
Or are they just doing a long run to WrestleMania after this?
Because
okay. Well,
right.
Fastlane used to be in February, but if WrestleMania is in April, they might need to throw something in March. But I don't know.
Well, they usually sometimes they do that. They had that habit, so that's why I was thinking there's another one in between. Because part of me would think if there is a Fastlane, then it'd be like, you know what? I'm not waiting until WrestleMania. I want the title now. I'm facing it Fastlane.
They're holding it. They're holding it after Elimination Chamber. They're not doing anything until WrestleMania.
Oh, fuck, right. So we can't do that then. Ah, well, that's fun.
Well, let's do it our Raw and Papa rating then.
Yeah,
whatever.
But then,
or Smackdown or whatever.
But have like Rousey just get that belt and just be like, Becky, I'm coming for you. Because I didn't get my WrestleMania match. So, change my mind. I'm going to wrestle you. I've already got the other belt. I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit easy. But then you get your money match and then you can main event it on the other night of WrestleMania. Because, let's be fair, they're not going to let anyone go above Roman Reigns right now. And you know what? That'd be fun. And I suppose, if for all intents and purposes, I guess Rousey wins it, even though it should be Becky. I don't know who wins that.
Ronda can win it.
Yeah.
If she's there for a limited time. Because it gives Becky more to do if she can whine and complain about it. Because she's so good at it, you know?
And I suppose you've got the trilogy in the Chamber automatically out of it as well. So if whenever they want to pull the trigger on that, they've got it.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do it, but the only way to start booking your entire road to next WrestleMania is to make the right choice for this one. You never know when there's going to be another one.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, what if another crazy disease shuts down WrestleMania again? We can't take that chance.
Right.
I'm not having another
get the
WrestleMania
match in
like
the
2
ring.
years ago.
Yeah. We have the Megatron variant of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Ah!
I didn't think it's damn near like the Unicron variant, right? The planet-eating variant.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I still have that.
We need the Optimus Prime vaccine, you know.
Yeah, roll out. We're rolling out this vaccine. All right. While I have you guys here, I'm here, I didn't plan on this, obviously, but while I'm here. So, This speaking of money, okay?
Uh-oh.
A couple on Dynamite, a couple of guys showed up that seemed like wow, this is almost embarrassing how many great talents that you guys are bringing in, okay? And all I've seen on social, most, I don't want to say all, but a lot of and most of what I've seen on social media is just like, I don't know who Jay White is, or why would they want a mid-carder that never did anything like Keith Lee? Guys, can you cut a promo on these marks, please?
Yeah, dude. We kind of already mentioned it a little bit. I talked about how Keith Lee just fucking rocked it and was like, the opening segment where he takes Isaiah and just chunks him across the ring, just showing how athletic he is. I mean, the dude is. I mean, I grew up with Keith Lee. I mean, Keith Lee came out of VIP wrestling here in Dallas, Texas. So I'm very that thing where Marquez jumps and he catches him and he power bombs him. Lou Gotti, a bigger guy than Marquez was, did that about 10 years ago and did that set up. So it's a Keith Lee staple. Watching Keith Lee is always fun for me because one, having grown up and seen him do that, he does some incredible things in the ring, but he's not a Brian Cage where he's forcefully trying to get his shit in. He's doing it the proper way. I mean, yes, he still does some big, he doesn't do lots of Lucha Libre stuff, but he does some stuff that makes sense for a big guy, being athletic. Whereas Brian Cage will do the stupid Lucha Libre shit, and I don't want that. I want Brian Cage to be a fucking killer. And then Jay fucking White, who has held every major singles title, the only person to ever do that in New Japan. You want to tell me he's a fucking mid-carder? I will fucking shove my foot so far up your ass that I will need to take and use you as a slipper for the rest of my life, because I would rather do that to keep my feet warm when it's fucking 37 degrees right now here in fucking Texas, because I need warmth. Adam Cole was a mid-carder, but yes. But Jay White is not a fucking mid-carder. The only person to ever hold every major singles title. That's before Tanahashi. That's before Okada. That's before anybody else over there. He's the only person that's done it. You want to call him a mid-carder? You can fuck off right now, and you don't know shit about wrestling.
Well, they were calling Keith Lee a mid-carder. They didn't know who Jay White was. But I don't know if you're going to be able to follow that fire, James, but go ahead and tell me.
Where's the Tylenol?
To be fair, I'm quite glad you went highbrow on this one, because I'm going to be listen, all you folk on Twitter with your 2 followers, you got named it. You don't follow, but you don't watch. You like to have your photo of Keith Lee on your profile picture and think, oh, right, I'm going to slag him off for a bit. Listen, he's not going to follow you. And then you go over and listen to Denise Salcedo, and you look at her Twitter and you send her abuse. Listen, she's not going to shag you. You're on your fucking own. You're living in a house with no people. You could be in a basement where your parent loves you. Fuck it. No one's going to shag you. You're on your own. No pals. And you want to put in your own comment? Do you want to be like us? Do you want to be on the big scene? Do you want to be on Channel Attitude and talk about wrestling? Do you want to have some knowledge in your head then, mate? Don't just go on emotion. Don't think you're a big shot because you can think you can make some controversial comments. You know what controversy is? Controversial is making an intelligent decision, getting people riled up, but also directing that rage, directing that anger, and making money off of it. Know what you're doing? You're just showing yourself to be a sad sap with nothing. You can do whatever you want. You can dream. You can think you can hit the big time. You can hold your championships. You can have cabinets worth of titles behind you and think, I'm a big deal. You jack shit, pal. We talk about wrestling, and I do it for fun. We sit and we slam and we have a banter about wrestling on the Hammy Media Group, one of the best places for all the chat. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm bigger than you guys, you're not. You're nobody. You're out the way. You aren't worth our time. You aren't worth Twitter's time. In fact, why are you even on Twitter? Your 240 characters are a waste of space for anyone's time. And you've got the vet here having to read that shit? Fuck, man. The disrespect, the audacity, the nerve that you have to do that. You should go and apologize to him right now. And if you aren't, go down on your fucking knees. In fact, you're watching it right now, aren't you? You're watching it right now, dickhead. Go right into the screen. Get on your knees. Go right on your knees. Kiss the screen. Kiss the fucking screen. And you say sorry. You say sorry to this man right here because he has to read that shit. You have to make him spend his day, that 20 seconds of his day, reading that and processing that. That's 20 seconds of his life that he won't get back. And you think you're good. You think you're cool. You think you're worth our time. You think you're a big shot. Nah, mate. You're none. In fact, You're not even worth the 2.5 minutes I spent talking about you. Get in the bin.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, guys. That's what you got. Channel attitude, baby. Now you imagine that whole thing in a New Zealand accent. That's basically a Jay White promo. So that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, come on, guys. Like, look at. Okay, here's a comment from Canada Spaceman. Right, I'm not a Keith Lee fan, but from the first time I seen him years ago in NXT and the crowd react, how can anyone say he is just a mid-carder? Yeah, who cares about all that wrestling stuff? Look at him. Yeah. Look at him with your eyes. That's it. That's all you need. Just tell him to just point him in the direction and let him run over stuff. That's however he wants to do it.
Like I remember
that's number one.
I remember ages ago on this podcast and be like, people complaining, like being this and that. I said, look, your value is only that of where you're put on the card. That's your position on the card. If you want to be looked at in a certain way, that's your job. You've got to put the work in that time frame you've got. Keith Lee does that. You know what I mean? Like, he might not be at the top of the card being a main event, but he's been a main event level talent. He's putting the work in. Yeah. He's making these things. He's looking good. I mean, like, sometimes you've got to step back and appreciate someone's level of work. Right. Not everyone can be WWE champion. Not everyone can be world champion. Not everyone can main event WrestleManias and Wrestle Kingdoms. All of us have a role to play. There's no small parts. There's only small actors. If you can have someone like Keith Lee, if he doesn't win a world championship, but gives you a bunch of 5-star matches, gets people to watch you, and makes your 2 hours of watching Dynamite more worthwhile, then he is worth every penny. He is a main event talent, because that's what main event talents do. They utilize their time. They make it worth your while to watch, and they engage with the fans. You know, that's how it is. This whole he's a mid-carder is complete nonsense, because everyone, like John Cena was a mid-carder at one point, went post, like he was mid-card. He was United States champion, and he was there. You know, like, to come out with these things is just nonsense. To have these labels on talent is just nonsense. You can't have that. It's a work ethic that you have to have. If it was like, if you were saying a mid-carder's work ethic, if it was someone who wasn't really wanting to put the work in, they're not there. They're not, especially in AEW right now, when, as you said, there's an embarrassment of talent there. You can't afford to be like half-assing this. You really got to try and make use of your minutes and your time. Serena Deeb's doing beat the clock challenges, and it's worth watching.
Yeah.
You know,
but I mean, she knows how to wrestle too. That's the whole other thing. You know, I mean, it's you're seeing that talent, and they utilize it so well, which is the sad part. You know, with WWE, they don't do that. They don't let their people shine. They don't let them use their things. They don't let them be who they are. I I don't know how you feel about the Danhausen gimmick, but we talked about that earlier with Danhausen being on. I said I like the gimmick. I think it's fun. It's different. It's unique. It's a palate cleanser. It's something and the guy gets it. But when he does wrestle, like, it makes it that much more worthwhile to enjoy, to watch. And so I like that.
Doesn't Danhausen just wrestle normal?
Yeah,
I've only seen him wrestle a few matches, but like they just were like regular matches.
Right.
He does some like silly things and
between matches. Like he's got like a thing of teeth, and he'll put the teeth in the person's mouth and then kick it, and you know, he does like little things like that. But like it's the whole. But I mean, he had to be a decent wrestler if ROH signed him. You know, I mean, obviously outside of the character, you know, ROH doesn't necessarily sign trash wrestlers. You know, I mean, from their history that they've signed, most people who go to ROH are pretty solid in their wrestling skill. That was what they were known for. And so, you know, like I said, when you do watch him wrestle, it's good stuff, but then he does have the little gimmicks that he does as part of it, which is fine. You know, that's AEW is a more well-rounded card in the sense of you've got everything. You've got the palate cleansers. You've got the.
You literally got everything. You got too much. You had too much. Well, you can't even fit them all.
They do.
Because even Danhausen himself, like I talked about the Chris Van Vliet interview he did a while ago, and it was like, even he said it was like, just a generic guy that wrestles good. Like how many people is going to want to watch that? So then that's what drove him to make Danhausen, and he just, as we said, it was like he started off and kind of doing this really dark character. And then one promoter one day suggested doing something silly, and it stuck, and then he decided to take that with him, and here we are. You know, like he read the room.
Here we are, getting pulled out from under the ring and pointing at people.
Yeah.
I like that, to be fair.
But whatever, anything's better than taking a bump, right? Well,
yeah.
Anyway, but to bring it back to Jay White for a moment.
Yeah.
Like, guys, you don't even know what you're in for.
Oh my God.
This is one of the top 5 in the world. And I'm not saying, like, when I say that doesn't mean like, oh, he does cool moves and shit. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about at the job. I'm talking about there's not a box he doesn't check. You know what I mean? But the fact that nobody's seen him, all it is for AEW to screw it up. It won't be anything he does.
No.
And to comment on something that media was talking about, I believe that the reason that Jay White is available is because with the travel restrictions to and from Japan and how difficult it is, I think they're having to look at some of the stateside talent as being able to just kind of stay over here and carry the flag for New Japan, because they're not going to be able to go back and forth like necessary to some of those shows.
Right. For Strong and then some of this other stuff. And then, by the way, if you've never seen Jay White wrestle, he is like what I would call one of the best counter wrestlers ever. Like where you think somebody's going to do their move and then he counters it into.
All right, you're getting into Mark territory, John. We don't need to worry about that. That's beside the point. It is cool. Yeah. It is cool, but that's the pushback you're going to get from the anti Meltzer people, because they're the ones that think that the only things that people like us like is cool matches and moves, which that's not the point. The point is the whole package of entertainment that can do anything at any time. You know what I mean? Like with anyone.
Yeah.
There's not like earlier on I said somebody called him like a dollar store Seth Rollins or something. And I was like, how
dare you?
I said Jay White is who Seth Rollins wishes he was.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. He's just doing it. Seth Rollins is playing it. But anyway, that's fine if you don't know that. You'll find that out. But
am I right in saying that Jay White turned down WWE at one point?
Yeah.
Like they went to him and said, "We want you," and he went, "Nope."
I'm right, and rightly so, because they never would have let him do the things that, not that he does anything crazy, but just the fact that he would not, like, his, the stuff he does, it comes with part of it comes with the freedom that New Japan offers the talent in terms of like the expression and the hands-off sort of nature. The only thing he can't do really in the States is over there. It's not a big deal to cuss in English, but if he reins his swearing in, which I'm sure he can because he's a professional, it's not like he does it because it's not like he has no choice. He's just doing it there because he can get away with it. But he could cut just as good a promo, without swearing. So that won't be an issue. But that's really the only thing he would have to change. Yeah, it was underwhelming the way he showed up and just kind of stood there and then threw Trent into a truck. That's not that cool. Yeah. And him showing up on Rampage and having to touch the that group of people, like anybody in that best friends / elite group. I'm like, please stay far away from.
They're also Chaos. Don't forget. Remember, Rocky told them that they're all part of Chaos now.
Oh, yeah, does this mean Danhausen is going to be part
Rocky
of Chaos?
Rocky does not have authority to put people in Chaos. Everything that Rocky says should be disregarded on television. No one should listen to Rocky. He's a rib. He's like the Danhausen of New Japan. You don't take him seriously. Don't listen to Rocky.
His best friend Okada said.
Okada has never said. He's never confirmed that. Okada barely looks like he knows who Rocky is.
I know.
I'll tell you now, like that's money in itself. Like putting Danhausen in Chaos, it just seems like that just seems like a Danhausen comedy genius type thing to do.
A Yano Danhausen tag team.
Oh, mate,
of course.
Tag league next year. Yano Danhausen.
Somewhere
Jargo's punching through a wall right now at the thought. Just like no.
But yeah. So Jay is. I believe he lives in Florida, so it makes sense for him to stay here and make money here. And it's cool that New Japan's allowing him to do, because they want him over there. Yeah. They'd much rather have him over there. But until this whole damn world calms down and stops acting a fool, then it's going to be very difficult. I mean, El Phantasmo laid out on an Instagram story, like in text. He just sent a series of text posts about the stuff that he has to go through traveling internationally.
Right.
And it sounded like, without recounting it, because not only I don't remember it, but I don't have time, it sounded like a nightmare. So that's why a lot of these New Japan guys are going to be staying like where their home base is for the most part. Some of them will travel back and forth, but I think for Jay, he's worked it out. Like his wife or fiance lives here. It's just a better situation. So he can stay here and do these shows and kind of maybe hopefully raise awareness and interest in New Japan, so that when he's eventually able to go back, maybe he'll bring a lot of fans and eyeballs with him. At least Lizbeth will probably follow him to New Japan. But hopefully lots of other people will. So that's great.
But I mean, like I've actually seen him in person with these New Japan strong shows that he's been doing too. And I mean, he's great. He wrestled here in Dallas with Daniel Garcia, the Red Death guy, and it was a really good match because Daniel Garcia is a technical wrestler. Jay, technical and counteractive and everything that he did. And they had a great time. And he did a great promo right after that match. And it just elevated Strong that much more because, this is a card that you had Jay White, you had Minoru Suzuki, you had Lance Archer, you had, all these guys who were on this card in Dallas, and it was a great show. And Jay White was a part of that, so it just made Strong that much better. And so why not have him continue to be a part of these things? This Jay White Open Challenge that he's been doing on Strong has been really, really good. Just watching him work these characters and work these people and continue to do the things he needs to. It's made Strong an enjoyable watch. And so, the fact that he's now on AEW, I think it's just going to really take his stock to that next level because people are going to see how good he really, really is.
Hopefully we got to leave that up to them, but I can guarantee you he's going to maximize his minutes. I cannot guarantee you that he will be put with people that are going to, shut up any internet haters for sure. But I can tell you that he's going to do his best now. And Candace basically asked a question about, are the shows in America often enough for him to stay and make money between that and AEW Impact? Well, I'm sure he also has a New Japan downside that they're going to still pay him. So, regardless, he's going to be fine, but these are going to be like bonus bookings that he'll add on top of that.
Right. Because, I know he's doing independent shows, here in the States, as well as, the AEW and the Strong shows. So he's just making a bunch of extra money. Based off of because from what I think I was reading is that the New Japan guys who can't travel still are getting a base, like you said, kind of salary to cover the fact that yes, they weren't able to travel, so they're still giving them something. But by being able to do some of this is all bonus money from them, essentially. So, it's Jay White. Of course, you put his name on a card, people are going to show up. It's just, that's the whole point. Is this is a guy who's the first ever Grand Slam champion for New Japan, and I think it's an important aspect to have him on United States television to see what he can do. Hopefully, and the only thing is AEW don't screw it up. It's going to be hard to, really, honestly, it's going to be hard to screw this up. But it's like you said, it's going to be the people they put him with, and I just hope they don't do something stupid with him, because he is good, and he's one of those wrestlers that you could put with anybody. Matches he's had with Okada, Tanahashi, anybody that you've seen over there. You've watched matches in New Japan that he's done. He's done really, really good with them, and elevated whoever he wrestled. Even some of the guys who were below him, he elevated them in their matches when they wrestled. And I just, I can't speak highly enough. As much as I hate him too, because he's one of those guys as a heel you fucking hate. But he knows the assignment. He knows what he's doing. And,
he's not trying to be a cool heel.
No,
he's not trying to. He does not care if you buy his shirt. Yeah. He'll actually probably, prefer that you didn't. But there aren't too many There aren't too many people like the last rock and roller. So and he's a kid. Fuck, how does he even get that good?
Yeah, he's like 25 or something like that.
He's got years ahead of him.
Yeah, he's fucking Okada. I mean, really. I mean, you think about it. He is the New Zealand version of Okada. I mean, just same thing. You know, all of a sudden it's like Okada's what, like 30? Like somebody said the other day,
32 or something.
Yeah, 32 or 33, and it's like, fuck, he's been around for a long time. And people talk about how he's looking old. I'm like, he's only fucking 33. He's got so many more years ahead of him.
When you look about half the roster in New Japan, he's got like 20 years ahead of him.
I know, right?
He's got so fucking long. Like,
I know. And I mean, and Jay White's in that same boat. I mean, he's going to be a talent that's going to be here for a long time that, you know, it's going to be good. And he's only gotten better with age. So you can't argue with that. So, fuck, do we have to finish talking about SmackDown? Because this was a lot better than doing that.
I'm just going to make it simple. Charlotte beat Naomi, bit dirty. DeVille got involved, tried to attack Naomi. Rousey came out. Oh, I don't think that happened.
You spoiled it. I didn't watch that part yet. Thanks a lot. You know what?
Anyway, fuck it. Well,
I regret coming on.
No, how dare you. Well, just before we close, like, we can get that out of the way because, let's be honest, it happened. It was a match. Just we're talking about the Jay White being over and New Japan being a big factor and just getting them active and keep that. Do you think we might see AEW return the favor, you know, and say, right, New Japan might have a talent they've got their eye on, that AEW might just let them go over and work a program for New Japan? Just to sort of, once things open up again, just to sort of make good. They'll probably do it more regularly, but like instances like this, maybe we're getting a return of the favor from AEW.
Well, the first thing is, like, if you notice, New Japan is tentatively putting their toe in the water.
Yeah.
Because you saw, like, they've not really sent the A players up to this point because they don't want the top guys to be embarrassed. Plus, they need the top guys. Right. So they're kind of like, they test things out. They'll send a Kojima or a Nagata or, you know, guys that are like, they're well past their prime. Suzuki, even in New Japan, they're just like, Suzuki was like a special occasion, but, you know, they are not considered the top guys. So they're sending those guys over first. And I guess it went well enough. They're like, okay, maybe Jay White, you know, like, cause and part of that is, again, because, you know, he's not over there full time. So it's like, well, now we can give you a top guy because you haven't embarrassed our people, right. And we can give you a top guy that's not going to be able to work with us as much as we like anyway. So it's a win-win. If you're talking about returning the favor, I think that the guy that wants the favor returned is Bryan Danielson.
Oh yeah,
I think he needs to go over there. I don't want to see guys like, you know, Okada and Tanahashi and those guys. I don't want to see them in AEW. I don't want them tainted by the garbage circus that is AEW. Jay White's one thing because he can take care of himself. But I don't want those greats tainted. So you send Danielson to have a big money match with Okada over in Japan, you know, for the IWGP, you know, then that's a bucket list for him. It's a big money match. It generate excitement. That's probably, you know, what it is. What we're looking at here. And if, you know, Danielson could be doing a lot of brokering too, of like, hey, do you want to ask Jay White? You know, like, who knows what the connections are there.
Right.
Do you put Bryan Danielson in the G1 this year?
No.
Oh.
No, because his it's too much time away from home. It's too grueling for him. He's more toward the end of his career than the beginning. He might be crazy enough to do it. I wouldn't advise it. He doesn't need the G1. He can just walk in and have a main event at one of their shows like Dominion or, you know, anything like that.
Although Moxley did that G1, you know, I mean,
yeah.
Well, I know, but I know, and then, you know,
how long
he's obviously wasn't right. Look at him.
Yeah.
He went to rehab and everything.
Yeah.
So
how long is the G1 again? How is that?
It's about a month and a half.
About a month and a half.
Yeah. It's a minimum of a month.
Yeah.
The only reason I think it was longer this year is because of, you know, them trying to
do it in New Japan strong as well, wasn't it?
No, just just because of the COVID things.
Just because. Yeah. So it was longer in like 2018, 2019, because that's the one where they did it here in Dallas, where they did the opening matches in Dallas, and then they had a week off to travel back and get everything situated. So, which is, again, Moxley just signed with the AEW, and of course he couldn't wrestle here in Dallas, so the door technically wasn't open, per se, because they didn't let him wrestle here. And then because that was, apparently Tai Chi was going to be the match because they brought him over and he wasn't wrestling. And he didn't end up wrestling that thing. And there was talk about maybe Moxley and Tai Chi were going to wrestle because that's who they ended up facing each other in the first round after the G1 here in Dallas. And so that's the only reason why that one went longer, was for that reason. But other than that, it's usually about a month.
Yeah, so, it's like you're going to have to talk Bree and the kids into a Japanese vacation. And, even besides that, like the way they travel over there, Japan's not that not very big. So you're not going to get the family on those bus rides and stuff. They're going to have to stay in the city. They're going to have to stay in Tokyo and hang out while Brian gets on a bus, to fucking Osaka or whatever, like it's just going to be a little much. I think Danielson's more interested in just the big dream matches, just so
Wrestle
he can say,
Kingdom,
because he just wants to work with the guys.
Yeah,
and I think it's the best situation to just bring him in like that. He doesn't need to be in a G1 because he's not going to fucking win the G1, so there's no point in that. Right. He doesn't need to win the G1 to challenge for the title. He can just. All you have to do in New Japan to challenge somebody for a title is to walk out and ask.
Yeah.
You don't even have to jump them backstage like they do here in America. You just walk out and be like, I think I'm the number one contender. And then everybody just agrees and Sugabayashi signs it off and then it's over.
There you go.
Can we just talk about how Evil got his shot because of that? He just walked out randomly and just went, I'm number one contender. I was like, you've never even been near this.
Yeah. Is nobody else going to come out? No, okay, I guess we have to.
Cool.
I mean, right. but that's the I guess at the same time too, the what makes New Japan that much better is you see these stories play out. You see there's no backstage bullshit. It's just like, all right, I want to fight you. Let's go fight. It's that sense of. It gives you that little bit sense of realism that, like, okay, we're gonna fight, let's fight, And I think as we see AEW continue to take care of New Japan stars, more will come over and be a part of AEW as part of a New Japan strong AEW Impact kind of rotation, because that's kind of seems to be the case as they hit all three. I think Ishii. So far it's been Ishii, Nagata. Kojima and Suzuki have been the bigger names that have come over and done kind of that circuit where they did Strong and Impact and AEW, and they all looked good. I don't think New Japan has a winning record in AEW right now. I think they've lost every time, but they've at least done it in a way where it looks
except
good
for Ishii.
Oh yeah,
the young and spry of that group, the 46-year-old Ishii, is like he's the youngster of that crew that they sent over.
Yeah.
Oh, and Kenta that time, but
so
there was that one Kenta, but I mean, that's the thing. Like, I just to bring it back to WWE, since this is a WWE podcast. That's one thing they're missing is they don't just bring a guy in. They feel like they have to sign him and own him. When it's like, look, you don't want him, just rent him. Just let him have his name, let him have his music, let him have everything about him, have him do a couple of shots for you, make some money, spike some pay-per-views or whatever, premium live events or whatever, and then let them go back to whatever company they were in. You don't have to own them for a period of years. It's not necessary. It's only necessary for the guys that you really want to stick around long term. And I don't think they have the scouting department that's ever going to be an issue again. They fired them all. Right. You know what I mean? Like all those great guys in NXT all got fired, and that's who they were counting on to find them the talent for the future. And then they shit all over the talent for the future. They shit all over the talent for the present. They shit all over the talent from the past. They shit all over the legends. Mm-hmm. So, instead of going with that route, why not just be like, hey, you're over in some other company. Why don't you come in and do a couple of shows for us and then we'll pay you and then you can go back. Like, I don't know why they don't do that. But eventually it's going to have to get to that because the more they turn off viewers, the more viewers are going to look to somewhere else to get it.
Right.
And let's face it, the casual fans, they really aren't even aware that AEW exists.
Right.
WWE has done the brand recognition replacement thing in their mind. Coke, Band-Aid, Kleenex,
Right.
That's wrestling to them. They aren't even aware that other wrestling companies exist. Once they start realizing that, hey, wait a minute, I don't have to watch this Alexa Bliss in a therapist's office with a doll every week, then they might go somewhere else. And then they'll be like, oh, I remember these guys. Right. And then pretty soon the Titanic really will sink. Right. It's a possibility now more than ever. So
and we know it's possible because they did it with Liger. They brought him in.
Well, that was NXT too. Right. It's like you could see a Triple H being like, "Yeah, let's bring Liger in. Yeah. Just don't tell anybody."
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
just sneak him in last minute.
Yeah,
but
damn near.
But it's that kind of innovative forward thinking too, though, that you have to wonder, is WWE even capable of anymore? That's the question.
Well, don't they just do whatever they want? If you can be ruthless tyrants that make people hate working for you, then you could also just, and get away with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, then I'm sure they could just as easily do nice things. They just make up excuses to do whatever the people at the top, the good old boys club, want to do. That's all they're going to do. So if they want to do something, they can do it. The problem is they don't want to. And until certain people are removed or die, it will never change.
Yeah, that's true. He said technically they just did it with Mickie James,
right? Which was crazy.
Yeah, and the fact that they played her hardcore country Impact song.
And I said on the Impact Attack, I was like, if Mickey's agreeing to this, that means that most likely she has laid out a list of concessions they have to make that are conditional upon her appearance. Like, I'm going to wear the belt. You're gonna, I don't know if she, demanded an Impact champion graphic or whatever, but I'm gonna wear the belt. I'm gonna play my music. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna do basically what I want to do. Like, just as far as like the presentation is concerned.
Right.
And then I'm sure she was fine with whatever in the Rumble because she knew she wasn't winning. So just get in there and do some stuff and then get out. But I'm sure all that had to be agreed to in writing before she would agree to show up.
Right.
Yeah. And sure enough, they did it. Which, why not? Did it hurt them? No. You know what I mean? Like, did that hurt them one bit? Does anybody sitting there talking about, oh man, the WWE let an Impact woman come in their Rumble, they look weak. WWE looks weak for letting an Impact woman come in the Rumble. Like, nobody said that.
Yeah.
Hey, if anything, it made them look better. If anything, it made them look better.
It did.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that was one of the main talking points of the Rumble was Mickie James and the Impact Championship and playing hardcore country and
and showing the recap on get the rights to the footage. They showed the Rumble footage on Elizabeth,
Impact. Yeah, and that's the whole point. We see this and that was the whole talking point. I think that was the main talking point of the Rumble was that incident, and we're going, oh my gosh, WWE is allowing this to happen. What's next? So I don't know. I would think at this point WWE would need to start doing that, if nothing else, because you could bring in, especially for your women's division, you could bring in some talent. Really, for a 1-shot, 2-shot here, just to have an idea. Even if, let's take the wild idea that they'd let Mickie win the Rumble. How crazy would that have been? An Impact title versus a WWE title. Good. It would have been good. That would have been. It would have helped Impact. It would have definitely helped WWE. It would have been a huge talking point that going into Mania, you have this event. I think that would have been amazing to be able to have something like that. So even if you would have gone that far, it would have been a holy shit moment that would have made the Rumble, this year's Rumble, that much more memorable than what it was. I just. And then again, this goes back to these are the people we don't want to talk.
Well, technically, if you don't win, you are a loser. So I guess they're not wrong, but
there's the same people who said Jay White is
a nobody, and Keith Lee is just a mid-carder.
Those rants belong to those people as well. So, all right. Well, we've been we're almost at 2.5 hours.
Woo! It's been a big old show.
It's been a big old show. And I think we talked more about other things than WWE. So we made it a great show.
Yeah,
Great show.
we're finishing on a high. And ironically, we're actually talking positively about WWE at the end as well. How you know?
Yeah, that's weird how we did that.
Yeah.
But no, thanks for the run-in, Vet.
Yeah.
That was great. Do it more often. As I say, the door's always open. You can jump in anytime you like.
The forbidden door.
There is no forbidden door here.
I know this is all the same. This would be like, he's on Impact. He's now showing up on Smackdown.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
The Vet is what's the Vet doing here?
Oh,
He's an Impact and NXT wrestler.
What?
Yeah.
While we're here, Vet, tell everybody where they can find you on the internet.
Yep.
Oh yeah, well you can find me on the Impact Attack and Next Level Wrestling Review, and every once in a while, the Smack Attack. But you already know that, as Alberto Del Rio would say, you already knew that. And you can find me at Opinion Haver everywhere. So be sure to check me out, and that's it for me.
Yeah. Thank you. And if you enjoyed the Smack Attack, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us in many ways. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm getting over myself here. You can follow us at Twitter at SmackAttackHMG. You can email us directly, smackattackhammymedia@gmail.com. You can find us on the Hammy Media discussion group on Facebook. So get involved with live discussions on Raws, Smackdowns, Impacts, NXTs, AEWs, premium live events. Get involved into the pick'ems. We're into the end-to-end game of the season for the pick'ems. Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania still to come. So if you want to get your picks in, get yourself on the league table before next season starts, get in now. And just put anything you want to talk about. If you've got something to say, that's the place to do it. Channel Attitude, if you want to get involved with some of the best content. Hammy Media Group is involved in Channel Attitude. It went along with so many great names on there as well. So if you want to listen to the Monday Locker Room, the Friday Locker Room, Impact Attack, Light the Fuse, the Smack Attack, if you're not as lucky enough to catch this as we record it, the Smack Attack as well, just get involved. Come and join the party. It's a great place to be.
I learned today, Rampage Uncaged also Channel Attitude. Well. Yes, so,
Rampage Uncaged.
Yeah, as well. So if you want to hear all about Hook, the other good thing in AEW, then you got to get Rampage Uncaged with the great deal. Michael Jargo, with Chris Ames and Jimmy T. They do a great show. I do not like to miss that show.
Yeah. Yep. They also do the Blow Off as well. If you want to listen to
Blow Off, yes.
Really good podcast if you want to listen to that as well. And the Hammy Media Affiliates channel, where you'll find additional content for free. You don't have to pay for it. You just search for Hammy Media Group on your podcast player of your choice, and you'll have great podcasts like the South Park Suck My Balls Review, the New Force Order, and of course, the one I like to bring up every time is the Academy Star Trek podcast. The Ridiculously Random podcast. I think we all deserve a go on that at some point. I want to get into that podcast.
I know, right?
I refuse. I will never be on the show.
Because of Colin Y's song.
I told them, no, it's because of the two of them. When they get together, they're nothing but trouble. As a matter of fact, I told them it'd be easier for the WWE to get CM Punk to sign than for me to show up on the Ridiculously Random podcast.
Oh, come on. Come on.
True.
We can make it can happen. We allowed to let us dream, Vet.
Well,
Let's believe it can happen.
You can. If you dream about me on the Ridiculously Random podcast, you better wake up and apologize to me.
Hey, I've already told a lot of people to apologize. If you don't have a mounds of tweets saying I'm sorry by the end of this, then I've fucked up.
That's true.
So, well, on that bombshell, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for joining us on the show. Vet, it's an absolute pleasure for you to jump in. John, absolute pleasure to chat to you every weekend. Smackdown. The live chat, lively as ever. We learned a lot today. We learned that you guys have an Aldi. Unbelievable. And that made my day completely. On that note, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for supporting Hammy Media Group and Channel Attitude. Come back to us. We won't be here next Saturday. We will be here on Sunday, following on from Elimination Chamber. I'm sure there's a lot we got to get into on that one. But as always, we will see you next week for the Smack Attack presents the Elimination Chamber review. Cheerio!